of NATO. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says it's up to Iran to live up to its commitments.
If they don't live up to those commitments, the president has a lot of options at his disposal, including, I'm not saying he's going to do it, I'm saying including reversing these sanctions.
Rubio is meeting with allies in the Middle East, some of them reportedly concerned about easing sanctions on Iran. U.S. oil prices dipping under $70 a barrel in a pre-conflict range. And the Dow up 184 points at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
Please be advised. You may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, bean sprouts, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
Wait, what? I thought those were good for me.
Turns out, not for everyone. Because what's healthy for one person can cause inflammation for another. And the only way to really know what your body needs is to listen to it.
Listen how?
That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to understand what's happening inside you right now. When your results come in, you'll learn exactly which foods to eat, which to avoid, and which supplements are right for you, all based on the world's largest RNA-based human biology database and thousands of clinical research studies. And many people who use Viome report more energy, better digestion, and a better mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing. Learn more at Viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase. Viome. Trust your
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly sunny skies today, 84 for the high. Maybe a shower or thunder shower here and there, but limited. Nothing more than a spot shower, but lots of clouds tonight, 67. Thursday night and Friday, changeable skies with periods of rain and thunderstorms, heavy downpours of rain at times. Temperatures in the mid-80s. Summer making a comeback by the end of the weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we get going here for a Wednesday, I think it's not the most sunny day, but that's okay. It's still a nice day in St. Louis. Nice summer day and a lot of stuff going on, including some changes at Busch Stadium that really weren't any changes at all, because they had a news conference on some announcements. Fred, your major takeaway. Look, I was at the game last night, and I see this tweet about this news conference that's going to take place about ownership and organizational. And then I flashed back to the time that Mike Shannon went on the air and said, I have it on good authority that the DeWitts are going to sell the team. And I think that created a blank storm at the time. But no, they're not. Basically, essentially, Ethan, they're taking Bill DeWitt III, and he will now sort of take over for his father, right? What else am I missing here?
So Bill DeWitt Jr. is still going to be the chair, and he will still be the head of ownership, or the principal owner, I believe is the correct term. But now Bill DeWitt III, his son, will move from being the president to being the CEO. So I think he's probably going to be a little bit more involved in the baseball side. Listen, Bill DeWitt Jr. is 84 years old. This is a pretty natural transition.
Of course it is.
In lineage as far as leadership goes within the family. Anouk Karunaratne is going to move from senior vice president of business operations to president of business operations.
I'm so glad that you were the one that had to pronounce that name, because I know that his name is Anouk, but I could never pronounce his last name. He's the guy that kind of took over for Dan Farrell, Fred. Dan Farrell was like baseball operations, legendary guy over there. So Anouk came in. I don't know him yet. I have not met him
sharp, very good guy.
But look, I like Bill III quite a bit, and here's what he said just a little while ago during this news conference.
His passion for the game.
Let me just set up a little bit better. He was talking about his father here.
His passion for the game was just literally part of his DNA. When we got involved 30 years ago, I would watch games with him, and he would have insights into what was going on in the game that I was like, how did you know that? Or that's not what I was thinking, you know. But and so I think just that passion for it and the passion for the day-to-day interest in how the organization is evolving, especially young players, being just excited about, you know, when a player hits 3 home runs or 4 home runs down in the AAA is maybe somebody hitting one up here.
So not anything that came out of this today that is earth-shattering and really, like you said, a little transformational but expected at the organization. I was at the game last night. Wasn't the best game. It was kind of boring overall, but I was in a suite with my friend Rex Sinkfield, and he does this usually annually, and I'm honored to be a part of it. I saw some folks up there that, I hang with politically. Jeff Rainford was there and his wife, Janet. But also he invites players, former players, into the suite, and they sign baseballs, and everyone gets a baseball. I'm not a big,
nice.
I'm not a big autograph guy, but we have, I've spoken about my neighbor, Amanda, who plays softball for Rockwood Summit. She does a lot with my daughter, Alexis. We're going to give her one. I don't know if she knows that yet, but we're going to give her one of the baseballs. But Al was up there, Fred. I got a nice chance to talk with Al. Yeah. I like the Mad Hungarian. He was talking about, what we talked about is tarps off, because he said, and did you ever see him when he took the shirt off?
I tell you, he was in pretty good shape.
He was in great shape. But he said last night, he goes, look, before he did it, he kind of vetted it a little bit, just in case. He goes, I didn't want to get in trouble, taking my shirt off. So he asked the organization. I think he asked MLB TV too. But he went for it, and I think it was awesome. And we were kind of talking about the organic nature of the kids. I mean, the group wasn't huge last night. Sometimes it ebbs and flows depending on how many people were at the game. Last night was a shame because Kyle Leahy, actually both starting pitchers pitched a pretty good game. They limited each other to no runs and 3 hits, but then the bullpen fell apart. But man, I didn't have the guts to say anything to Ted Simmons. He was up there last night. I don't know Ted. I mean, he's a legit Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And I got my ball signed. David Freese was there. I had to get a picture with David because I don't know him, and I was at Game 6, so there's legendary story there. And then I did have a chance to talk with, and I did a radio show with Mike Matheny when I was on KMOX. We did kind of the coaches show, and it was unique because they always do it on Sunday mornings, but Mike was interested in doing it on Tuesdays, and it was just easier for him. And we did, like, a part of my show, Kevin Wheeler and I did the Mike Matheny show. Now, look, I love Mike Matheny. I think he's a great person. He wasn't the most riveting radio at the time. It just was one of those things. And he's a guy like a lot of these coaches. He's got a very tough exterior. He's a very, very gentle man. And here's let me address the handsomeness.
Yes.
Because here's what pisses me off. This dude, he looks better than the last time I saw him, which was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, and then Janet Rainford, Matheny, he's a hunk. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fine. That's fine. So I asked Mike, I said, look, Mike, can I get a picture with my wife? I don't want to take a picture with you. But he could not have been more nice. He's really a nice guy.
Such a nice man.
We were talking pickleball with him because he's getting into pickleball too. By the way, he is 50. I asked him. I probably shouldn't. He's 55 years old. He has 9 grandchildren.
Yeah.
9 grandchildren.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wow.
I think he says 5 out of 5 kids, too. If I
that
heard
helps.
correctly.
Yes.
But no, it was great to see him. And, Rex takes care of these guys, and it's really fun to be in the room with a bunch of folks. Rich Christmer, who's a political friend. Rich is a guy most people wouldn't know. They might know his father because his father was an elected official out in St. Charles County. But he's one of those behind-the-scenes guys that helps us book, like, Senator Talent and other folks like that. He's a consultant. So even though the game was kind of boring, it was fun to be with all those guys last night and to catch up with Mad Hungarian. Now, a couple people, Fred, I don't know if you noticed in the pictures. See, like, I'm not a name tag guy, right? So they hand you these what do you call them? The magnetic name tag things you put on your shirt with the magnet, right? Well, I took mine off right away. So some people who have seen the pictures, because I posted on X and on Instagram stories, have said it's kind of funny that the guys who have the name tags on, and the ones that you don't know are the ones that, don't have the name tags on. But I take a stand against name tags. So you're rolling your eyes. I just
Why?
don't
Why?
it's tacky. I don't want to name, especially you go into an event, you got a suit on or something like that, and they give you something that like peels off like a backstage pass. No, I'm not doing that. If you don't know who I am, that's fine. You can ask me, but I don't do name tags. It's just a personal policy I've had.
Know who you are?
No, and I don't really care if you do know who I am. I just take a stand against name tags.
All right.
Because like if you
got to
go up to the
line
person
somewhere.
Wait, who is that? Oh yeah, it's David Freese. That's him. I didn't know that until I saw his name tag.
Yeah,
right?
but you're not a Cardinal, right? So these guys might be going, "Who's that guy?"
They don't care who I am, though. That's the point.
Yeah, but then they could know you and say, "Oh, well, hi, Mark. How are you?"
There were some people who did that. There was one guy in the suite who said. I even got a listener email recently, not the same person, that they had listened to me since my days in Columbia, Missouri.
See?
And we're talking late 80s, early 90s at that point. I had a listener that emailed me a couple weeks ago, Fred, said he listened from when I was at KFRU. And then I can't remember if he would listen when I was in Milwaukee because back then we didn't really have streaming or anything. I don't know. I was trying to think about that.
It wasn't Steve Moore.
No, you mean my boss at all three of those locations? Right. No, it was not him. On the topic of, let me just get this out of the way here because of Pride Night. They're downtown here messing up my route to work and all that right now. But the Giants had the situation where some of the players went out there with Bible verses on their hats, and they were condemned by the Alphabet Mafia. Then MLB gets involved. Then Senator Hawley gets involved. And then Rob Manfred, the commissioner, responds. And there's this confusion that they say perhaps wasn't communicated correctly with the team. And then Buster Posey, who is he's the GM of the San Francisco Giants, one of my favorite baseball players ever. I mean, if you want to talk about two of the greatest catchers in the modern era, Buster Posey and Yachty would certainly be
great name
on the list for there. And he really was a fun guy to watch play baseball. But now he's being peppered with all this stuff from these reporters who cannot let it go.
Did you object to those nights when you were a player? And also, did you or anyone from the organization talk to Tony, talk to the players, and explain the importance of this demographic to your business, the importance of this evening for the fans?
I love the importance to the business. The importance to the business. Nobody else is important, but the Alphabet Mafia, we got to give them a night, so they're important, right?
I mentioned that I'm not going to revisit it, so if you want to ask baseball questions, I'll answer baseball questions.
Are you planning to reach out to the gay community about any of this, or no?
Again, if you want to go baseball questions, I made my statement on it. I'll answer baseball questions.
Reach out to the gay community to say what? To say what? Like, here's what I'd say. We don't want to do, here's what he wants to say, okay? We don't want this. The players don't want to do Pride Night, right? The team doesn't want to do this. We're forced to do it. It's funny because when I tweet about this, people are like, oh, they're not forced. Of course they are. Are you kidding me? They'd be ostracized if they don't wear the rainbow, right? And they know that. They don't want trouble. The guys with the Bible verses decided to go for it and get some trouble, and good for them.
You have no response to the commissioner saying inadequate and unclear communication.
I'll answer baseball questions.
Good.
Is that respect? I believe so, yeah.
Buster, why do you want to only answer baseball questions? There's some very important matters that the public is debating outside this organization.
All right, now this guy actually makes a point here, so listen to the point he makes, and I don't know that this is an unfair question overall.
I'm going to answer baseball questions.
Hang on.
Do you feel it's not your job as president of baseball operations? I mean, is this something we should be talking to Larry about?
Guys, we just need to keep it.
That's the PR person.
Baseball related.
Well, you guys have made this baseball related because you had Pride Night. You allowed players onto the field that MLB said should not have had writing on their caps, violated MLB rules. Then MLB said that you guys didn't communicate with the players properly, that they didn't have to wear the hat. So there's been no response about that.
We get it. Buster made his statement. If you guys have any baseball questions.
Yeah, and they don't, of course. And you know why Buster didn't make his statement? Because he's pissed that they got thrown under the bus, I'm sure. Rob Manfred threw them under the bus. And what I said, and this solves it all. It solves it all, ladies and gentlemen. When the players do their collective bargaining agreement and the owners lock them out over the winter, mark it part of the CBA, make it part. You're not doing this anymore. We're not doing it anymore. The fans don't want it. It's all virtue signaling. Stop it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There was a stall eastbound 6440 at the Boone Bridge, but it looks like they've moved that off to the right shoulder. So as far as volume goes, it's nothing too unusual at this hour, and that means that eastbound 64 it is a little slow in that area, but it's westbound that's the usual volume. Highway N out through the 70 split. Now we've got an accident reported eastbound 6440, kind of at the 70 split itself, so some slow-moving traffic there. You look fine, then things open up, and westbound 40 is slowing. Kings Highway out through McCausland, it opens up as well. Now, southbound 270, we've got a report of an accident north of 44. Look for a jam back through Manchester, and then moderate volume that extends back through Page. 55 looks good, no real issues there. And on the Illinois side, we're fine on the bridges, but 64 eastbound slows at 255. That due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brian Kilmeade coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Let's talk about Morelli Tuck Pointing. It is a great, great local company that can help you with small projects or big projects. Sometimes it's just some brickwork around maybe a mailbox or a chimney, and they can take great care of you there, or the bigger projects where maybe walls might be collapsing. They handle it all at Morelli Tuck Pointing. They have a great feature up on their website at MorelliTuckPointing.com where you can see some of the favorite projects that they have completed over the years: stone restoration, brickwork, chimneys, stone steps, and more. If you look at the gallery, you can see sort of I call it the little swipey thing, because you can take your finger over the picture and see sort of the before and after and what it looked like and the quality of work that you're going to get from Morelli Tuck Pointing on all of their jobs. So anything masonry oriented here in St. Louis, they're the experts, whether it's stone foundation repair, waterproofing, brickwork, chimney repair, spot pointing with color match, and, of course, tuck pointing. They've been around since 1991 in St. Louis. The website, MorelliTuckPointing.com, or you can call and do me a huge favor, tell them that we sent you over, 314-645-1387 for Morelli Tuck Pointing.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
You care about every detail, and so does Purina. Every ingredient in their pet food comes from trusted sources, and every ingredient has a purpose. Whether that purpose is to provide just the right nutrients your pet needs or a flavor they will love, Purina has over 250 recipes made without artificial flavors or preservatives for you to choose from. You're sure to find something both you and your pet will love. Learn more at Purina.com.
A collision with a semi-truck changes everything. The injuries, the trauma, the questions. They don't wait, and neither should you. At Kaufman Townsley, we understand how serious trucking accidents are, and we know how to fight for what you deserve. We're from St. Louis. We're in the courtroom when it counts, and we don't stop until justice is served. Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
On the Cardinals front, Scotty Warman's going to be with us here at the bottom of the hour. We'll get you all updated on what happened with that news conference this afternoon. Plus, the big story yesterday locally with sports is the Blues traded Jordan Kyrou. We have Keith Tkachuk named to the Hockey Hall of Fame, the trade for the Tkachuk brothers, and then World Cup stuff to talk about with Warmann as well. A Wednesday afternoon is when we spend time with Alex Rich, so he'll be here in the 4 o'clock hour right now. Brian Kilmeade back with us for his weekly visit. Hello, Brian. How are you this afternoon?
What's going on?
I was watching you last night. I got back from the baseball game, and my wife had Gutfeld on, so I think you were on that show. Weren't you talking about the weird thing? I talked about this yesterday with the woman that finally got fired because she picked up the trash can and dumped all the trash onto the ground in the aftermath of the Knicks winning the NBA championship, and she was tracked down, wasn't she?
Yeah, she works for J.P. Morgan, and she put the garbage pail in the subway, kept staring at a camera. It's crazy. I mean, and she got fired. So just one of the crazy things that happened in the city. I mean, we talked about the Knicks run and was it really a national story, even though it's a national. And I think that you told me you thought it was a big story.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So we're not caught up in it, but it just the crowd control and everything around it and the unrest. Not that they wrecked the whole city. I know Detroit and other cities have been worse. But there was a sense of lawlessness around there, but not many people thought it would come from workers from J.P. Morgan Chase.
Right. That was what made that one pretty interesting. All right, so one of my United States senators from Missouri, Eric Schmidt, called this the hammer and sickle wave last night for the Democrats. You have candidates who want to abolish prisons. They want to get rid of billionaires. They want to cut aid to Israel. Certainly, they are anti-Semitic. They want to defund the police. The list goes on. But these are now the new Democrats, aren't they, Brian?
Yeah, they don't want. Keem Jeffrey says that's not true. It's just a small area. It's your area, you idiot. The only thing they didn't do is run against you, and they almost put somebody to primary you. They don't care about leadership. They have no sense of loyalty for a party that gave them an opportunity and a program and an infrastructure to run. And I agree with Jamie Harrison, what he said, and I thought he did a terrible job as DNC chair. But he said, hey, to all you socialists that trying to tear up the DNC, who won last time, don't you do it on your own. Don't use the Democratic Party as your label, as your infrastructure, that do all your hard work. You use all the attributes, but then you put down everything they stand for. But too late, Jamie. If you cared about that 8 years ago when AOC did the same thing in primary Joe Crowley, who nobody knows in St. Louis, I understand, but just know that he was supposed to be the next speaker.
Yeah, no, that came out of nowhere. It was a big surprise. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and so I think I told you this. I don't think Cori Bush is going to win this primary against Wesley Bell in, our district here in St. Louis. And of course, she did kind of what AOC did to a certain extent, caught Bill Clay Jr. off guard when Lacey Clay, when he was in Congress. So I guess my point is, if enough progressives come out in a primary, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm seeing some of the ads right now. She brings in Hassan Piker. Doesn't this give a lot of juice to Mamdani, thinking he's kind of like the kingmaker here with some of these people?
Yes, absolutely. Now, is it every really blue city is going to be susceptible? Absolutely. I mean, look at D.C., look at Seattle. Now we have, I think, 5 seats of socialists in New York City. But, what's so interesting is Republicans are on the sideline. They have nothing to do with this. But they're kind of say, congratulations on your victories, all three of you, the Defund the Police, we hate America crowd, because you are the new label. Because I don't care if you're in Pennsylvania in a purple district running as John Fetterman, even though John Fetterman's not going to get primaried. I don't think from Republicans he's out of respect for who he's been. We're going to make you you are a socialist. They're going to label every one of their opponents AOC, light, or they're going to just talk to about of all these 3 winners here, and they're going to make them the face of the party until Democrats decide and say, and they should already, this is not who I am. This is not what I'm running for. This is not my party. They refuse to do that. Think about this. Plattner is a horrible person, and he's got a horrible personal biography. But the real problem with Plattner for me is that he's a socialist in Maine, that he also wants to defund ICE. He also wants to divorce Israel. He also wants to stop weapons there. He also wants to have a wealth tax. That's the real problem. So for people to say, well, I'm not New York City. Okay, you're not. But until you disavow them and tell us they're wrong, you're going to be labeled that way. And if they do, they'll be standing up for their party.
Yeah,
and if they don't, they got to accept who they are.
There's no courage there except for Fetterman. You mentioned him. Here's what he said.
I mean, these are the people who we are electing, and they're going to send them here to Congress. Someone who wants to abolish our border and abolish prison. That's not a Democrat. That's a full-on lunatic. I can't imagine. This is the kind of model that we're going to win real elections.
Brian, if I had $1, the old saying, if I, every time that John Fetterman was the only Democrat that said something sane on an issue, I think I could retire by now. Because, again, he's the only one. How hard is it to say, no, we're going to live in a country where we're not going to abolish our border and immigration control and all these other things?
Well, I think you're right, but he's the only one, except for the one that they used to be there. Kirsten Sinema, I guess from 3 weeks ago, and now next week I have Joe Manchin on Sunday, and I'm going to ask him about his party. Is this why you left? Is this the only choice you had? Did you really have to leave in order to save your party, or was it that hopeless? You don't think you could have saved? You don't think you could have fought with Schumer to save the party and keep it? And keep it center left, but I think Kirsten Sinema said no. I had no place for it, and it's totally I was totally isolated. The word is, I know it's not a big deal because these are adults, but evidently Fetterman is not. No one even speaks to him on the Democratic side.
Oh, I probably believe that. Yeah.
Hang out with Republicans in the cloakroom and in the area of when you hang out and go to the cafeteria, or you go to if he goes to work out, nobody talks to him. Think about that. Instead of saying, "Well, hey, John, I appreciate you were in a purple state and you won a seat that could have easily went to Dr. Oz. you persevered through a stroke. No, because you're sound like Bill Maher, and you're a liberal who won't leave the party but is upset where the party is. I respect that. Instead, they just won't talk to him like little children.
That's bizarre. It really is. And I didn't realize, I don't think it went to that level. All right, Brian Kilmeade, what do you think of the memo of understanding? I'm still trying to figure some of this stuff out. Are we done with the war? Are we going to do something else? Is Iran violating the conditions? Are we talking to the right people? All these things seem still rather unclear to me at this point.
Join the club. I was told don't get caught up in the memorandum of understanding. The fact is that's what they use to get to the table, and I got that from one of the highest levels you could possibly get it from. So the bottom line is they wanted to land this plane. They feel as though hammering them for a few more days would have helped, but it wouldn't have solved. And they wanted to help the people of St. Louis and New York and all these places that can't afford to spend twice as much for gas and oil and for groceries. And so they landed this plane. But do you know anybody that's happy with this? I don't know anybody that, if you read it, it's not what they told us on Wednesday last week, and you were off, I think.
I was.
Friday, By Friday, it was clear when it came out. I'm like, you guys lied. You just said, no, don't worry, there's going to be no money exchange. Don't worry, there's going to be no sanctions relief. There's going to be behavior-based. No, they are trading oil and getting as much per barrel as we are right now. And when it comes to this $300 billion, it exists. It comes from the Arab partners. I don't know why they agreed to it, maybe because they just didn't want to get bombed anymore. And to me, this is to get us to November. And in August, the 60 days are up, and I don't expect them to agree to almost anything.
I don't either. I'm very disappointed and I'm confused. Let me ask you this as we head into the weekend. What's coming up on Sunday night? Do you have that set yet?
Yeah, I have a lot. I would say that right at the top, we got Abby Hornacek is going to give us an idea of what's happening in the media. It looks like we got commitments from, I think, Hope Solo to talk to us about. We're going to have the post game on the 3 mandatory games in the World Cup and what our guys' chances are doing what they did, and that's going all the way. And then I also am going to be talking to Joe Manchin, as I mentioned. So we'll have that coming forward. We've got a few slots to fill still.
Did you make it, because I was off last week, did you make it to the second?
James Blair, who's the deputy chief of staff for Donald Trump, who's in charge of getting the midterms to keeping both chambers. He's considered a political genius.
Yeah, big name there. Did you go to the second game? I know you were in L.A. Did you make it to the second USA game or not?
I did not. I think I'm going to be at the knockout round, and I know tomorrow, just as a ticket holder, I'm going to be at Germany, Morocco. I'm going to be at the 30th game on the field of 32, and I should be at July 5th. So those are just those tickets that I got just because a soccer fan.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be covering for the men's team. I just hope they go deep. It would just mean so much, I think, to the country.
I admitted this yesterday. I'm kind of a non-soccer guy, but I've been loving it. I've been watching a lot of games. It's been really, really entertaining, so I'm hoping for the best for the U.S., and you have fun with it. We'll talk next week. Thanks, Brian.
You'll get him.
All right, I appreciate it. Don't forget, he's coming back here to the Factory on November 21st. It's going to be a great Saturday night. Thefactory.com to get tickets.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident on southbound 270, and this thing is just a little bit north of 44. It's just past Big Bend, and they've got the left and right lanes blocked. So you have to take the center lanes through, and that kind of confuses people, and we've got a jam. Heaviest back through 64, but slow pockets that extend back through Page. Now, westbound 70 is fine out of downtown. Little slow at Wentzville. 64, that's a slow go. Kings Highway out through McCausland. Moderate volume past Winghaven out through the 70 split. 55, a little bit slow. And this, of course, is in the work zone just south of Highway M. We had a report of an accident in the work zone, but it's not a solid jam, just a slow go. We look good on the bridges downtown, but 64 eastbound is jammed approaching 255 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up. Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
A common question I receive is, how is the market right now? It just seems so volatile. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. If you want to buy or sell but feel overwhelmed by the whiplash of the market, then let's talk. With over 23 years as a broker, I have the exact experience you need to help you navigate this tricky market. Call me at 314-441-4444. 314-441-ALL-4s. And remember, why pay more than two?
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
3:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
2026 is a big year for America, and we'll be here with you, celebrating every step of the way. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk, sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
I got into one of these moods here a little earlier. I get into these moods. You know how you get these text messages? Ethan, you probably even get these. You get the text messages from people who aren't real saying, hey, can I call you? Or do you have a moment or something like that? Do you get those?
I get more so like the social media messages,
okay,
like
all
on
right.
Twitter.
Well, I get all these text messages, and I just delete them. But today I decided to engage. I'll tell you about that a little later. As I mentioned, I was at the game last night. A disappointing finish to it, unfortunately. It was Nolan Arenado that kind of put the not the game out of reach at that point because the Cardinals started scoring again in the ninth inning, but he drove in the go-ahead run, I believe, in the eighth inning, and then
ninth inning.
A terrible fan, was that the ninth?
Yeah,
then
all 7 runs
I almost stayed till
the
ninth. I left at the beginning of the ninth inning because they batted almost through the order, didn't they? Let's ask someone who knows a lot more than me. Scotty Warmann is here, Cardinals TV studio host. I'm sitting here blabbing about what might have happened. You know what did happen. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well. You're hanging out with Boy Hundo last night, huh?
I was with the Mad Hungarian, David Freese, Ted Simmons. It was a lot of fun. I love Al. I had not seen Al. I didn't have the courage to say anything to Ted Simmons. He's one of my favorites from when I was a kid. I was in awe, but it was cool just to see him in there, and I got a signed baseball as well, so it was fun.
Awesome, dude. He's just name dropping, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's just what he does all day, every day.
Humble brags here. On the topic of the game, so I'm at the game, and then I get this tweet sent to me, and it essentially says the Cardinals are holding a press conference with important news related to ownership and organizational leadership. Now, I didn't think that they were going to sell the team. It seemed like it was a situation where Bill DeWitt Jr. might be stepping aside for Bill DeWitt III, and that's kind of what happened today, right? It was a little bit more detailed than that, but we didn't sell the team, Warmann, right?
No, I think essentially what's basically been happening with the organization, maybe for the last year or two, maybe even a little bit longer, is basically they made it official. I mean, I think Bill III has been involved in, some of the process as far as the baseball operations are concerned, on top of handling everything from a business operations standpoint. Of course, Anook came in a couple of years ago from the Toronto Blue Jays, and you've seen some of the transformation of what the organization has done just from a game day atmosphere, so to speak. And that's, one of the many expertise that Inuk had when the Cardinals hired him. And so, I think basically what happened today was they were just making it official. I mean, look, I'm sure I'm not the Lone Ranger that I've heard at least people asking me or people saying, hey, are the Cardinals going to sell, or what's going to sell? I never actually heard anything from the organization. So maybe if that was kind of circling around to Mr. DeWitt and Bill and the rest of the organization, maybe this, squashes any type of rumor that there was any type of movement as far as ownership is concerned. But, essentially, I think today was just a matter of, hey, Bill's moving into the situation where he is overseeing the baseball operations as well as the business operations, and Inuk gets bumped up the president of the organization of baseball operation, or excuse me, the business operations.
Scotty, you could make the argument, oh, well, it's not that massive of a change considering, as you mentioned, a lot of this probably was already in motion to a certain extent, but you could also argue that it is big in the sense of, the Cardinals are kind of officially announcing that transition, as Bill DeWitt Jr. continues to get older, that the DeWitts are going to continue to have control of this team and hopefully lead to a lot more years of what has been a really successful ownership family.
No, I agree. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, people have been, terribly disappointed in what's transpired over the last couple of years. But, I always say, what has transpired, especially during this ownership group alone, and how spoiled we all are as fans. And I know there's some fans out there, Ethan, that take offense to that. But, I mean, you look at what has transpired, but even before you had the run from basically 2000 to 2015, you had the McGuire years for the home run derby type of thing with Sosa in 98 as well as 99. And then even when he didn't make it there for a few years before 2019, the team was still competitive and in the playoffs. There's not a lot of teams, maybe exception of the Dodgers, that can, hold that on their hat and say, hey, this is what we've accomplished over 30 years. And
I think that's important to remind people of that.
Yeah.
And you're right about that. I mean,
it's true. I was just mentioning that I was in Kansas City with the ball club, and I was talking to some of the Kansas City folks, and I said, look, we're spoiled. I said, we had, even between 2016, 17, and 18, if it wasn't the last day, it was the last week before they were eliminated, Mark. And we all know this, but I think it's something that, truly gets overlooked. Obviously, you're seeing part of the transformation here with Chaim Bloom taking charge, and we're seeing so many positive turnarounds, especially Jordan Walker obviously leading the way with this ball club. And I think that, with them getting a lot of specifically pitching, but just overall the depth of what they have from a prospect and the minor league organization. I mean, the Memphis Redbirds just won the first half of their international league, and they're already going to go to the playoffs. Well, it's been a long time, probably mid-2010s, since we've seen the Memphis Redbirds do that. So you're already seeing positive change even in the minor league system, much less what you're seeing with this major league ball club. And I think ultimately this was something that was happening, and they just made it official.
Yeah.
Today.
Scotty Warmann with us this afternoon. What would you say about the last stretch here with Kansas City, and then even last night? Look, Leahy has a great performance, and then the bullpen sort of falls apart. They go through 9 batters in the 9th inning, and then the Cardinals come back and they score runs. It was funny. I was listening to Ricky, and he said, I think we've only been shut out like 3 or 4 times in the entire season. So that gave me hope when I heard him say that in the 9th. I'm like, they're going to come back and score some runs, and they did. They just didn't quite have enough in the tank to get that one. But obviously, we've had some issues in the late innings.
And we have. There's no doubt about it. And it was a rough patch. They almost blew it again on Sunday. Almost got swept by a Royals team that's really struggling right now. And I think, this is where we talked about, where is your pitching edge? I think I've been just completely and pleasantly surprised at what Andre Palante has continued to do in this season. Dustin May had a bad start on Sunday, but man, what has he done before then? He's just been absolutely outstanding after, hitting bumps in his first 2 starts since coming back from injury. And you look at what Kyle Leahy's done over his last 2 starts. You really have to be pleased with that. So from that standpoint, it's great. I mentioned this to you and others, that the fact that, the overusage of the bullpen has really reared its ugly head. And they actually got a break last week when the Padres were in town, because you got such great pitching from Palante, from Dustin May, who had that 1-hit complete game shutout, as well as Kyle Leahy. That bullpen really needed that. And I think, that's what they're going to have to hopefully continue to give them breaks along the way. Matt Swanson, last night in the 9th inning, that's the first bad, appearance that he's had since coming back. So I think he's actually showing a much improvement than what we saw in the first part of the season. So it's one of those things that you're in a building process. And I think things have gone dramatically much better than what anybody had imagined. You're going to hit bumps in the road. This is part of the game. John Rooney and I were talking about this on the flight back home from Kansas City on Sunday. And, but again, you can't be disappointed with what this ball club has put together. And I'll throw one other one out there, because we mentioned a little bit on Sunday on our postgame show, is J.J. Weatherholt is a star in the making, guys.
Oh, it's awesome.
This kid is just unbelievable. He is literally, we talk about Jordan being a 5-tool player, which he is. I think J.J. Weatherholt is a 5-tool player as well. He is just defense, running the bases, setting the tempo, hit with a little bit of power. You get 20 home runs out of this young man, that's doing something. But he's going to hit for average, and he's going to be a special player. And again, he's only 3 months into his major league career.
It's amazing.
That's what's crazy.
He just seems like a great fit for this team and this organization. Let me turn to hockey, though, before I let you go. Big trade yesterday. Jordan Kyrou gets sent to the Capitals. Was this a good deal for the Blues? They seem to have gotten a lot in return.
They do. McMichael is a second, third line forward. He had over 20 goals 2 years ago, just missed 20 goals. Guy with some speed, guy that apparently likes to get in front of the net, will provide some depth for this team. I think it was time for the Blues and Jordan Kyrou to go their separate ways. Did Jordan improve defensively? Definitely over the last couple of years, much better than what he was. He's an incredibly talented player. We know that when you score 30 or more goals in 3 consecutive seasons. I think it was just time for both sides to kind of go their separate ways. It happens, it's all a business. But I think what the Blues got in return, the prospect apparently has a decent future. Now, I'm not talking about a top-line score or anything, but apparently he has a future in the league. And you also got another number 1 draft pick, which sets up for a very interesting Friday night with this hockey team with 4 first-round draft picks. Maybe they utilize all of them to make some picks, Mark and Ethan, but I would not be shocked if Doug Armstrong, as he's winding down his career as the GM, doesn't pull some doozies off before we're said and done on June 30th.
And it sounds like most people would agree with you there, Scotty, that the Blues are likely not going to make all of these 4 first-round selections. We're probably going to see some sort of move make. Now, what do you think is the most realistic thing to do with those moves? There's been talks about them being able to package a couple of these picks to move up and get a true top talent in this draft. There's also been talks about them packaging some of these picks and maybe a prospect together to be able to get a guy that's going to be able to contribute at the NHL level and be a top 2 line, perhaps even a star in the making eventually. What is the most realistic in your eyes?
I think it all is. I know that's not a great answer, but I think I don't have any inside information, but I would believe that Otto Stenberg's brother Ivar, who's considered the second best prospect and a guaranteed first line forward out of Sweden. And we know that Alexander Steen, the new GM, is Swedish, and he likes a lot of his Swedish guys. But I think that truly is realistic. But if you can find a guy that's going to pop in 30 goals or something like that, you can deal and package maybe some players with some of these draft picks. I think everything's on the table right now. I think this was just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, I saw somebody write, and I agree with him, is the fact that I think this actually helped them by moving Kyrou before this draft to really open up the floodgates to see, okay, we got that out of the way. What's our next phase now that we moved Kyrou and he's got a different place? And we got what we got from them. And again, to get that other first-round draft pick, I think is just huge. That the package that the Blues got, I believe, for Jordan Kyrou was huge. And I know a lot of the quote-unquote experts out there believe that the return was was more than I think anybody anticipated for Jordan Kyrers. So it's going to be an interesting weekend, definitely for the Blues.
Speaking of interesting weekends, how about that weekend for the Kachuk family? Father on down, right?
No kidding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy for Keith. He's one of the great people that you'll ever get to meet, a giving person. And then obviously Brady wanted to get out of Ottawa and to be set up with his brother in Florida. I mean, Florida now for the next 2 years, because that's what Brady's contract is good for 2 years. I mean, they're a team that's set up to win another Stanley Cup. Here's the other thing. I know there's a lot of Blues fans that are upset that Brady didn't have St. Louis going back home as part of his list. Brady wants to win, and that's the bottom line. Brady wants to win, and though you look at the 4 teams that he had – Vegas, Carolina, Minnesota, and Florida – those were the 4 teams that are on the cusp of winning a Stanley Cup championship, and that's what that young man wants to do. 2 years after that, maybe it's a possibility. I don't have any insight, but maybe it's a possibility that Brady does come back. Maybe the Blues are a contender by then for a Stanley Cup. But I couldn't be happier for Keith, man. He's such a great guy, and I think it's shameful that we had to wait this long for him to actually be officially inducted into the Hall of Fame coming up in November.
It's crazy with his numbers. Yeah, that does not make sense. Scott Warmann, always great to have you on. Thank you so much. We will talk and we'll see you soon. By the way, you look great in that powder blue shirt when I saw you in Kansas City. Fantastic. You're looking good. I want one of those. All right, we'll see you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
The accident on southbound 270 past Big Bend is still there in the 2 left lanes. We've got a jam that goes back through Olive. Northbound drivers are slowing in there as well. And we've got southbound 141 really jammed. South of Carmen Road down through 44. 44 westbound slows at 270. Westbound 64. It's Kings Highway out through McCausland with eastbound slowing at Big Bend. And it's slow at Winghaven in pockets out through 70. 70 westbound in good shape. A little bit slow at Cave Springs and at K. And if you're headed into Illinois, slow traffic coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge due to road work at 64. 64 jams at 255. And northbound 255 is heavy approaching Horseshoe Lake Road due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Dana Lash.
America is that shining city on the hill, such an unprecedented beacon of freedom for the world. People risk their lives to get here, and it's worth celebrating America.
America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath. It's all about time.
Save time and money.
Do it now, don't wait till later. Call the top-notch renovator. It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-day kitchen and bath.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Is it time to upgrade that backyard so you can enjoy it for the rest of this summer? Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. I'm telling you, they have a mission to be the very best when it comes to customer service and quality craftsmanship. They've been around since 1968. That tells you something. The same families owned this business all those years. Of course, they offer fences and decks, but they also do much more. Sunrooms, screen rooms, patios. They can do retaining walls. You mention it, and they can take care of what's going on in your backyard. Their project consultants will come out. They'll do free in-home estimates, no obligation at all, free project design. They've also got a great digital photo gallery of completed projects so you can look at what other people are doing and maybe get some inspiration. How about that? Reach out to them today. Mention my name. They're going to give you 20% off your next outdoor project. Check them out at chesterfieldfence.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, For the People. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
Sue will have Sue's News on a Wednesday afternoon coming up here in the next hour. It's a Wednesday. Alex Rich visits with us, so I got a bunch of stuff to talk about here with Alex. I can't even talk myself here. Sue Thomas. I have to play this, though, because it's so funny. I don't know how I missed this. I'm going to be mad at myself for missing this one. There's one story that I missed locally this week, and I'm not happy about that one. It was about the guy who was a firefighter who pooped in the box. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Something.
It's disgusting. I may skip over that one right now. But then so we were actually on the air. This is part of the reason I think I missed this. We were on the air on Monday afternoon, and right at the beginning of the show, you might remember this Trump, and he's right now, he's doing some questions at the Oval Office, and we're not going to dip in right now. But the other day I did for the Q&A, but then we wrapped it up very quickly. But I missed this. So at one point, he has some cabinet secretaries behind him, and one of the guys behind him is Energy Secretary Chris Wright, all right? So Chris Wright kind of at one point has to take the reins to say something, and he has a little trouble just kind of getting the words out. But listen what happens here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So 141 years ago, Albert Einstein, 121 years ago, Albert Einstein published a paper on
Nobody cares.
Good point.
He just cuts him up. Now, I did not see this. I've told you that my wife has this, it's just like this year-long infatuation with all the Fox evening shows. So whenever we're not watching something that we watch together, she's got Fox on. And that's the last thing, nothing against all the Fox personalities, but at night, I don't want to watch that, right? But last night, Gutfeld was on, and Brian was on Gutfeld, as I mentioned, and he played this clip 3 times. And I'm going to play it at least twice here because it's so damn funny.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So 141 years ago, Albert Einstein, 121 years ago, Albert Einstein published a paper
Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. I mean, the greatest thing about that is who else would do that, right? There's no other president would ever do that. But when you see it happening in real time, and you can see the president's face, he's kind of like going, where's he going with this? And then he can't help himself. He's like, yeah, nobody cares. You took too long. I thought that was just epic because you're going to get answers like that from Donald J. Trump that you won't get from anyone else. I don't know what he's talking about right now. Let's just see here.
A lot of people over there, but tonight we're going to have a lot of good entertainment. One of the greatest opera singers in the world. We think he's great. Lee Greenwood's going to be singing our favorite song. And we have a lot of great things, but I think I speak at about 7 o'clock tonight, so that's over at the mall. No, but the one looks great. But we will do the final fix-up. But just remember this. They took razor blades 350 feet. Coming from where he comes, they don't do that. They took, maybe a little bit. They took razor blades and knives, and they cut patches like that. 350 feet long. A lot of them are like a foot. They cut the lining.
Yeah, he was talking about that yesterday. We'll break here for traffic and for news, but if that's true, and I think it is, why aren't they reporting on that? I mean, that seems pretty significant,
kidding me?
right?
You know why they're not.
Well, okay, yeah, rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, the accident on southbound 270 south of Big Bend started in the left lane and the right lane. Then we had the left lanes blocked. Now it's in the right lane. The right lane is blocked at the right shoulder, and we still have heavy traffic back through Olive. I'll tell you, southbound 141 is really jammed from Carmen down through 44 tonight. And we've got westbound 64 already lined up Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound slowing at Olive and at Big Bend. And then westbound, there's an accident reported approaching N. We've got a jam back to Winghaven, then some moderate volume west of there. And 70, it's just mainly moderate volume in pockets, and it's from 94 out through the 70 split. Now, headed the other direction, if you're headed into Illinois, there's some volume on 64 eastbound. We're fine on the bridges, but we've got an accident reported now eastbound 64 past 255 in the construction zone, which was already slow, and now it's slower. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, I'm going to talk about Innsbruck and what they have to offer. And what I'll tell you is that, and some of you might know this, I know Sue and Fred know this, I'm a bit of a type A personality. I don't have a lot of patience for things, but this is why I like places like Innsbruck. I used to vacation a lot up in Door County, Wisconsin. I think I've talked about that. A lot of St. Louis people do that, and it's awesome. But Innsbruck is only an hour, not like 12 hours away, and everything kind of focuses on nature and family. And I can really, really relax in settings like that. We find, we don't own a property out there. We do rentals and find dog-friendly properties. If it's in the fall or the spring, usually something that has a hot tub. But they have all kinds of things that you can do out there. Fishing, golfing. You can be in the woods or in the meadows. You can be on a lake or in a luxury cottage. I mean, you have all kinds of choices. The A-frame chalets have been out there for a long, long time at Innsbruck, and they're not year-round homes. Those are just like summer homes, but you can build a year-round home, custom build a home. They have realtors on the property, or if you just want to do a staycation, Innsbruck is perfect for that. Again, about an hour away. I've left downtown and gotten there in an hour to meet my family on a weekend staycation. Innsbruck-resort.com. Don't forget the golf course out there is public, so you don't even have to be staying out there to take advantage of that. Check out Innsbruck today at Innsbruck-resort.com. Wednesday afternoon edition of Sue's News is on deck.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
It's not your typical game day look. Sunday, June 28th at Busch Stadium, the Cardinals face the Miami Marlins, and fans can receive a soccer-style Cardinals jersey presented by Purina. Clean, sporty, and unmistakably Cardinals, it brings a fresh energy to the ballpark from first pitch on, and kids take home a vibrant Cardinals soccer ball to keep the action going long after the final out. 2 ways to play, one big Sunday. Get tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Every Sunday home game is a Kids Sunday at Busch Stadium. From Team Fred Birding games to a kid-friendly DJ, ice cream, and family-favorite activities. Sundays are built for young fans. Plus, select Sundays feature kids run the bases after the game. It's a day made for smiles, memories, and Cardinals baseball together. Make Sundays your family tradition at Busch Stadium. Tickets and details at cardinals.com/KidsSunday.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777. The head of NATO back in the Oval Office. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, and he's offering praise for President Trump's leadership to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
And it would have been a threat to the region. It would have been a threat to the whole world. This is a country which is exporting chaos. It is exporting terrorism. and they were very near to getting their hands on a nuclear capability.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also highlighting thousands of U.S. flights from bases in Europe during the fight with Iran. President Trump has criticized some NATO allies for lack of support, telling reporters he just wants loyalty. The president also weighing in on 3 progressives who won primaries in New York yesterday, 2 of them ousting incumbent Democrats in the House.
Well, they're going radical left. They're going really, you talk about the Democrat socialists. It's really communist.
He says socialism and communism don't work and that a far-left movement for Democrats should make it easier for Republicans. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, who backed the 3 winning House candidates, telling reporters earlier today.
What I see these results as a reflection of are the fact that New Yorkers are hungry for a new kind of politics.
President Trump, meantime, pushing Congress to pass the Save America Act.
Voter ID is proof of citizenship, and it's also the mail-in ballots.
He wants to limit mail-in ballots to certain voters, including in the military or with health issues. Meeting earlier today with Senate Republicans, including Majority Leader John Thune, who has said the votes aren't there to pass that act or to eliminate the filibuster rules threshold to advance it. But the president canceled the signing of a bipartisan housing bill, saying the voter ID bill needs to pass first. Meantime, a judge in Boston blocking a Trump executive order on election reform, ruling it violates the separation of powers. America is listening to Fox News.
You've got to try the new TikTok diet.
Just ask chat.
I just take blue-green algae.
You just have to eat kale. Kale, kale, kale.
I read you should put butter in your coffee.
Or you could trust your gut. When it comes to your energy, digestion, and overall health, how do you know what's actually right for you? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to show what's going on inside you right now. Not trends, not guesses, your biology. With your results, Viome gives you clear, personalized, actionable guidance. Which foods help you, which ones don't, and which supplements your body actually can benefit from. All based on the world's largest gut health databases and thousands of clinical research studies. Many people who use Viome report better digestion, more energy, and an improved mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing.
And maybe still eat the kale?
Maybe. Learn more at Viome.com/know. V as in Victor, IOME.com/KNOW. And use coupon code VIOME50 to save $50 off your purchase.
And eat everything blue.
No thanks.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
After a couple of quiet days, we are now going into a long-lasting stretch of unsettled weather that will end with the return of summer. A few thunderstorms around this evening, otherwise partly cloudy, 67. A mix of clouds and sunshine Thursday with scattered showers and thunderstorms, some with heavy downpours of rain, 86. Thursday night, Friday night, periods of showers and thunderstorms. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
It is a Wednesday afternoon. We have Sue's News coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We are in the studio with Fred the Hall of Famer. Ethan's hanging out as well. And then Alex Rich, our friend that we visit with on Wednesdays, has been nice enough to stop by and grace us with his presence. I appreciate that. How are you?
I'm well, and you complimented this shirt a couple weeks back, so I wore this
your
again
Lulu
for
shirt,
you.
Yeah.
Did you end up picking it up for
No, here's
yourself
what
yet?
happened. I actually asked, you sent me a link, and the link that you sent me did not have that color
Isn't that
available.
something? I thought that
I
was
didn't like
weird.
that.
I know.
That's the color I
Well,
want.
I think you got to go in. This is the go into the store exclusive.
Is that a large or
color.
medium?
Well, we gonna steal it off my back.
Yeah.
This is a large.
Okay, I can't
What
do
do you
large.
think?
Is that dark
blue?
Dark blue?
You know, I would think this is probably a mix between a royal blue and a navy blue, wouldn't you say?
It's a good color.
It's
I
not
like
really
it.
one or the other.
I like it, though. It's a good color.
Thank you.
Hey, I don't know if you guys ever have this.
It's kind of the Fox News blue.
Is that what it is? Well, because
Don't you think?
you're looking at the screen right now.
Yeah, I think it's kind of close to that.
Maybe
If
it
you
is.
got Fox News on.
I
I
like
think
it.
It's probably, yeah.
It's sharp. I was looking for something to look fancy when I play pickleball because sometimes I have to wear, like at the country clubs, you have to wear a collar. And I belong to so many country clubs, Sue. I mean, my memberships are.
When you
I
say
can't
things
keep
like
track of
that,
them.
I just think, okay, it's gonna. Sue, just okay, just keep your mouth shut.
No, you can chime in.
Yeah,
You can chime.
all
Well,
right.
I got to follow the rules.
Well, you do.
You know, I can't be uncollared when I'm supposed to be collared.
I mean, that
I can't,
would
I
be
can't
awful.
be ball capped when I'm not supposed to be ball capped.
That is actually true. You're following the rules.
Right,
That's
exactly.
good.
He's
That's a
scamming every
positive.
country club in town.
Yeah, well, I like to
Right.
say I'm a country club member without paying the country club dues, thanks to some good friends of mine, like my friend Jeff Drew. All right, so here, you guys get these. I know that I get them all the time. I mean, literally almost every day I get a text message from someone that says, hey, how are you doing? Or, hey, can we talk or something like that? Do you guys get those, like those random text messages, or am I the only one? Fred's looking at me like I'm crazy.
I get them. I get
Okay,
them.
you get them.
Yeah.
I got one last week.
Okay, Alex, do you get these ever?
I do get them, and I also it kind of goes off of you asked me something before this.
Right.
Do I have anything to talk about? This goes into I got hacked. My email got hacked.
Oh, I did know that.
And you guys were all told not to open any emails from me.
Right.
Oh, I saw that.
They had to get me a whole new computer, everything.
Oh my gosh.
So we're talking about scams. I'm sorry I'm going off topic there, but
Well, let me circle back to that in a second, because that's important, and we talk about those things with George from Throttlenet all the time, like on Tech Talk Tuesdays. So I never engage with these people. I just delete. But today I was in a mood, and somebody came in and said, hey, can we talk? And my response was,
oh, no.
F off. And then their response was, why?
Why?
Yeah. So I said,
why?
So here's what I said. What would you say? Like, what would your first question be? Because there's a pretty good test question here, right?
What?
Who am I? I said, okay. She said, I know it's a she because she says it's a she. She says, why? I said, let's start this way. What's my name? That's a tough one, isn't it? Right? So they engaged. They responded. Thank you for your reply. My name is Saya, S-I-Y-A.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we know each other, but I saw this number while organizing my contacts. There's no information on it. Could you be a friend I met when I was in Mo? How in the world would she figure out that I have a 314 area code phone that I'm in Missouri?
That's
that would be so.
bizarre.
She just took a random guess.
Oh, my
and
gosh,
knew that I
that
was in
is
Missouri.
hilarious.
We have to be long lost friends, right?
Yes.
So I said, no, and you're lying. So my original message stands. Leave people alone. Stop scamming. I'm not your friend, nor would I ever want to be your friend. So F off. And she said, well, what a rude person. Looks like I've inexplicably run into a lunatic. Today is terrible. Yeah, it's terrible when you can't scam someone. I mean, I love the fact that I almost want to call her on the way home tonight. And I bet this dude, first of all, I bet it's not a girl. You know?
Of course not.
Exactly. So it's ridiculous.
Well, I say that like I know, but I guess it could be.
There's a part of me that
So
wants,
what was
like,
the
maybe I will.
point?
I don't know what the point is
I
because
never
I
know.
never engage.
Never know.
Maybe the next time, hey, can we talk? Sure.
Yeah,
Let's
what
have
you
a
got
call.
to
What do you
say?
want? Because I literally, Fred, I get these all the time. And I get a lot of the spam calls too. And the worst spam calls are the ones that I'll be in my car and these are weird area codes. They're like not normal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like 850 or something weird like that. And then I'll hang up and they'll call back 3 times. Like,
seriously?
Yeah, I'm like
you've been
right
answering
away.
these?
Well, no,
Wow.
I don't answer. I just hang up. But then right away, boom, another call comes in. Boom, another call comes in. They
that's 'cause
usually
you-
come in 3 times.
it is getting a little out of hand. I get it. I would say at least 20 spam likely calls a day now.
Well, I think
I don't know if I get that many, but I get probably about 7 to 10.
Oh, a day?
Yes.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
the fact that you answer isn't good. Just let it be, because if you answer, they know
I'm not
you're
answering.
there. Oh, okay.
No, I'm literally pressing decline, but I'm telling you,
soon
the
as you do
automated
it.
systems are so good
Oh, my
that as soon as I say
gosh.
decline, it calls me right back. You can barely press decline fast enough.
You
It calls you right back.
I'll tell you what, because I'm on the sales side over there, it is harder these days, I think, to get through to people who don't have your phone number already because, like you said, Mark, you only answer the call if you have the person's number, right?
But you could text someone. I mean, that's what people do.
I mean, you
Right.
could text someone, but like you just said, look at what you went through. Like, you automatically assume it's a scam. So, like, if I'm a real person trying to get a hold of...
But this is not a real person. I know
No, of
that.
course,
And, you know,
of
these are not real.
course.
And I don't know what their end game is usually, but it's just ridiculous. So maybe I'll call Saya and say, hey, I'm sorry, Saya. I'm just your friend from Missouri. We probably went to high school together or something like that.
Just say Mo. I love that.
I know, right? That's good. So, I love, this is where I really struggle with trying to keep politics and entertainment apart. It's not easy. It's really not easy. It hasn't been easy for my whole life. I love Larry David. I loved Curb Your Enthusiasm. The last season was kind of dumb because he based it on this whole Georgia voting law, which was ridiculous. But I found Larry David's style of humor extremely funny over the years, and I'm rewatching Seinfeld right now. I started in season 3, and I'm in season 6 right now. So I just randomly started in season 3, but I love it. There are memories that are coming back from Seinfeld that are incredible, and it still holds up today because you can hear. For me, it's so fun because I hear Larry's voice in George Costanza.
Fair enough,
right? Because that because I know Curb so well,
Yes.
and I know. And Larry, to me, he's just a funny guy, and I don't want to think about politics when I think about Larry David, but he forces you to do that now, right?
Yep.
And here's what he said about the UFC event.
This is your way of celebrating America. The White House did it much differently with the UFC fight. What did you think about that?
It was a travesty. Yeah. What else can you say about it? It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed to be an American. Yeah.
You know what made me embarrassed to be American? Joe Biden letting 12 million people just stream across the border with no consequences whatsoever. I can name a lot of things that Joe Biden and Barack Obama have done that do not make me proud to be associated with them, but I'm still an American, and I love this country, and I love the freedom. And that comment by Larry David was just ridiculous because this is why Springsteen has lost his credibility with me. These are people who never once said anything in the other direction, right? I've been pretty critical of Trump on a lot of things, especially lately. I call balls and strikes, but they are so obsessed with their hatred of Trump that they can't see straight. But this is what I love. So John Fetterman responds to Larry David.
Larry David right now is going viral because he said that the UFC event at the White House made him embarrassed to be an American. To that you say what?
I'd say lighten up, Francis. You know, really kind of get over himself. You know, like, hey, I'm proud to be American. And if you are embarrassed or whatever because of a UFC thing, get over yourself, dude.
Wait, what do you mean, Francis?
So he walked away. This is my favorite part. So he says, you know what happened, Sue? Fred knows what happened. Alex, I don't know if you know what happened there. Do you know the reference? Lighten up, Francis.
I don't.
Okay, but it's fair enough. You're younger.
Yes.
You're nothing to be
I've
ashamed of.
heard it before, but I honestly don't know where it's from.
Right,
I think I pretend I do sometimes.
Well, a lot of people probably do that, so there's nothing to be ashamed of. But that's actually a line from the movie Stripes.
Also, I don't like nobody touching me. Now, any of you homos touch me, and I'll kill you. Lighten up, Francis.
And that became iconic. Not unlike Bueller.
Right.
But what I loved about the cut is it was so apparent that the young, wet behind the ear TMZ reporter
Had no idea
what he was referring to, right? And I tested Ethan on this, and Ethan, of course, had no idea. I guess we're just of that age, right? We're going to know these references. And sometimes they'll stick. But I thought it was funny the way the kid reacted. Like, wait, who's Francis? My name's not Francis. Who's Francis? I got to find that out. Hopefully, it would be funny if Fetterman would have said, yeah, that's go watch Stripes from 1981. Which that's a Bill Murray movie, Alex. I don't know if you've ever heard of Stripes. It's a pretty funny movie. It really is. Yeah, I would put that on your list. That was arguably, I have to look at the order of releases, but that was probably one of the first big Bill Murray movies.
I think so.
Yeah. I'd have to look that up, too. Let me see.
Meatballs? Where's Meatballs?
Meatballs and that sort of came out pretty much at the same time. And then when you get to 82 and 83 and 84, I think is when the bigger hits came out.
Well, hold on.
Speaking of movies, it has nothing to do with either of those, but I met Ralph Macchio last week when he was in town.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, he was in town for that event. Did you guys talk about this?
What was the event? No, I was out of town.
So they're filming a movie in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard a little bit
Love
about
on
that.
The Hill.
Right.
And he did an event at Milo's, and I was the music. They hired me as the music.
Did you talk to him?
Talked a little bit, and it's funny because I wasn't like a huge Karate Kid, Cobra Kai.
We were.
But
Karate Kid. I think the first two seasons of Cobra Kai I thought were pretty good.
You know where I remembered him from the most, though?
No.
He still looks as young as he was.
He's a young-looking
when
guy.
he was a Ute on My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, my God, yes.
He was one of the Utes.
That is such a great movie, too. Yeah.
How about that?
He's kind of forgotten as being part of that movie because of Marissa Tomei, but he was fantastic.
Okay, Bill Murray, you're right, Fred. It was Meatballs in 79, Caddyshack in 80.
That was the big blow-up.
Stripes in 81,
Yeah.
and Ghostbusters in 84.
So in fairness, I think Caddyshack was a bigger hit than Stripes, but really kind of they all came out around the same time. And
Cinderella Story.
They were funny movies. We're coming back. We got Sue's News on a Wednesday. Hang in there.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, let me start on the Illinois side. We've got a big jam on eastbound 64, 111 to 157. It's road work, but there was also an accident in there. Westbound 64, that's a slow go approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, and it's slowing again past Clarkson. And one more time, there's an accident before you get to Highway N. Now, southbound 270 is still jammed. It's Olive. We've got a new accident south of Manchester that's to blame there. And 141 is a mess. People have taken that to avoid the mess that was on 270. So it's jammed between Manchester and 44. Yeah, really quite awful. And other than that, we're okay. We're fine through North County. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We had another in a great series broadcast with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet last night. We do this thing called Tech Talk Tuesdays, and it is phenomenal. It is like must-listen-to radio because George is so, informed on what he does and how he does it. And what they do here in St. Louis is they provide IT services. So they're not an internet company, but they are a company that can help you make sure that you're safe and you're not going to click on things that you shouldn't, because that can cost you a lot of money as a business owner. And if you listen to the segments every week, you're going to find really interesting information from George. You'll learn a lot of things. We've been talking about, AI and some of the new transformations. But I was over at the office a couple of weeks ago, and what they do for IT support for companies is really impressive. I got to see the operation. All the screens were up there in one of the rooms. If there's an issue that one of their, companies that they're dealing with managing their IT has, they have this 90-second response time. And if they don't hit that 90 seconds, the flashing lights go off, and they make sure that they're on it even faster. So if you need great IT support, go to throttlenet.com. You throw a /971 on that, and that gives you a free baseline security test to know where you stand as a business. You can get a free IT support consultation from ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com /971. It's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Hi, Sandy. What's that? I'm reading up on this Amendment 4 on the August ballot. What's 4? Amendment 4 absurdly creates a new un-American minority veto power, but only for ballot issues that we citizens put on the ballot. Don't they say it'll protect conservative ideas? Truth gets in the way of their story. Amendment 4 would mean as few as 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one congressional district could veto any good conservative idea or reform, even when a big majority supports it. That does sound un-American. How did that get on the ballot? The politicians put it there, and it would empower a small minority of liberals. They could stop funding for police, stop tax cuts, or any other common sense conservative policy we support. Only 5%? One district? That would make it nearly impossible to pass needed reforms or rein in politicians. Yep, Amendment 4 is a misguided power grab by politicians. I'm voting no on Amendment 4. Right. I'm not giving up my constitutional rights. It's a hard no on 4.
Paid for by Missourians for Fair Governance.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Have you ever felt like you were living just a B or B+ life? It's so dangerous to live that, more dangerous than a B- or a C+ life, because when you're living a B or B+ life, you don't change it. You think it's good enough. Is it? I'm Susie Welch. I host a podcast called Becoming You. People think, okay, an A+ life is not available to me, but there is a way. We are all in the process of becoming ourselves. Listen to Becoming You wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is The Mark Reardon Show.
Thank you, Alex Rich, for asking me questions about the new kitten so I could show off some pictures in the studio. If you want to see the very latest, you can follow on Instagram. I've been putting some stories up there. Mark Talk is how you follow me there, or on Facebook, You can look up my name there, too, and I sometimes respond on Facebook.
How many
Yes, Fred?
cats does a person have to have
Can't answer that question.
before they
Cannot
start
answer
to worry
that question.
about you?
That's confidential.
Yeah. We used to show pictures of our kids during commercial breaks. Now it's our pets.
It is our pets. That's right. Fred was showing me a doppelganger of Luna. Did you see that?
Yes,
it looks
it's
just
bizarre.
like his dog.
Exact dog over at the Grizzlies game last night.
Unbelievable. All right, let's do this here.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Sue is having Sue's News issues today, but she's organizing. You
All right.
understand?
You okay?
Like I printed it out, but then it came out like one page was missing, and then it printed. Okay, I'm going to the computer. All right, on this day, well, it's National Day. I should start there.
We're all discombobulated
Yes,
here.
it is National Parchment Day. I don't know what you want to do with that. It's also National Praline Day. Now, I went to a food class once in New Orleans, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And they taught me how to make these things. And they are delicious, but they are just pure sugar. So I haven't made them in forever, but man, those are good. It's like eating it just melts in your mouth. Have you tried that,
No,
Mark?
I don't think I have.
Praline?
Yeah.
Maybe not a real one.
I've
I
had
don't
it
know.
in like ice cream flavor.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
But I've never
Pralines
really
and
known
Yeah.
what a praline is.
You can actually make them and take a little class down there and learn how. Man, those things
See,
are
that's
good.
where I am. I know I've had pralines and cream and stuff. I don't know if I've ever had a proper praline.
Oh, so good. And it's also Swim a Lap Day.
There you go.
Yay! I didn't. I love to do it, but I did not today. And it's National Take Back the Lunch Break Day. We don't really get those. Alex, has the lunch break gone away?
You know, it's funny because today, of all days, I've been in the office for quite some time, and I actually picked up lunch for, like, the sales side over there, and everybody kind of had a lunch break today. But I feel like this is the first lunch break I've taken in a while. Usually it's, like, just kind of eat when you...
Lunch on the road or whatever,
Lunch on the
right?
road, yeah, or you go home, you eat lunch at home, whatever.
Well, now that I'm somehow talking lunch with you, it reminds me of those great sandwiches. Where were they from that you brought us 8 million years ago? Was that the Junior League? No.
Which?
Some place. You remember these, Fred?
Yeah,
the place
I
in
do.
Clayton?
Yeah.
Where?
No.
The
Get,
women's-
like, used clothes there. Women's.
Oh
clothes?
my God! Yes, the women's exchange.
Yeah, women's exchange.
The women's
Remember, because I
exchange.
ran into my mom there.
Right, you had
That's
transitioned,
right.
if I remember correctly. You were in there buying some clothing.
Yeah, I didn't follow through all the way with I didn't fully transition.
Well, no, you didn't.
But yeah, the sandwiches were great.
They were so good. All right, maybe I'm hungry. On this day in history, 150 years ago, you guys, this is the 150th birthday of Forest Park.
Is it really?
Today.
That's fantastic.
Yes. And it was 1876. Forest Park was dedicated. 50,000 people showed up. Now, it was not easy to get there, right? And this was way out at the time from the city. 50,000 people showed up. Now, it's 1,300 acres. It's bigger than Central Park. And then, of course, years later, it was the home of the World's Fair and the Olympics in 1904. But when it began, they were saying, listen, you can get out of town and come here and enjoy nature. They had 19 miles of gravel roads for your carriages.
So nothing against Sue's News here, but let me ask this question. I think it's awesome that you're telling me about this.
Yes.
But why am I just knowing now? This should be something that we should be highlighting a lot more in St. Louis. shouldn't we?
Agreed.
That it's 150?
Yes. That's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal, and it is getting it, but not enough. If you want, there's a history of the Lou with Sue on the 150th anniversary.
I would recommend it then because I think that's fascinating. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it's really cool. And 16 years ago, and I did not look up how to pronounce names, so just bear with me, but it was 2010 when the longest match in tennis history took place at Wimbledon. American John Isner defeated Nicholas of France.
I remember this, though.
How do you remember how long it was?
It was 6 hours, I think, wasn't it?
11 hours.
11 hours. Wow.
11 hours and 5 minutes.
But no one really knew, like to your point, I don't think really people knew the players. It was just the fact that the match was that long, right?
Yes. Each player served over 100 acres in the match. I guess they figured distance by how far it went. Thanks to the rule that the winner of the last set must win by 2 games. The last set ended with a score of 70-68.
That's nuts.
Oh my God!
I've seen some long tiebreakers in tennis, but that's unreal. I wonder how many people were there for like the whole match.
Me
you know what
too.
I mean?
I'd love to see footage.
There had to be
Go
some.
back.
There had to be a couple, right?
Yes, there's always somebody. All right, we've got tidbits here. Devo and the B-52s are launching a co-headlining tour in September, and they're taking Ozzy Osbourne's Bat Throne from his final show, and it's going to go on display at a museum in Birmingham, England. I don't know that I need to see that, but it's kind of entertaining. And the legendary Buddy Guy will celebrate his 90th birthday on stage. He will do this with Eric Clapton, John Mayer, John Batiste, and more. It will be at Radio City Music Hall on October 1st.
And I used to see Buddy Guy at the
I don't
Blue
know
Note
who
in
that
Columbia.
is.
The old,
Oh.
my God, blues legend,
Yes,
Buddy
yes.
Guy, one of the great
Surprises
guitar
me
players.
you don't know who he is, Fred, honestly.
He's
Yeah.
a legend out there. What'd you say, 90 or 95?
90.
90, okay.
Yeah, and he looks great.
He's still got the chops.
Yep,
Yeah,
he really does.
I haven't seen him in concert in decades, but he would come like back when he was, not as big an artist at the Blue Note and rock it out there. So absolutely a killer blues legend for sure.
Well, they also have a list of the top earning rock acts on tour so far this year. It's just so far this year. AC/DC is number one. Now, their ticket prices were $132-ish, and they only did 15 shows, but they did them in
Football
did them in
stadiums,
big
right.
venues. So that's how they have made over $120 million so far this year. And then that was 907,000 tickets sold. Holy cow. Number two, the Eagles.
And that's
Eagles
because
came
of the
in.
Sphere show.
And since Sphere is smaller, but the tickets are more expensive, they
Right.
only made $69 million.
How
And
much
then
is
it
a
goes
ticket?
down from there.
Well, the tickets at Sphere could vary from, I would say, 150 to 600 probably. I mean, the average would be about 300. It depends what you're seeing. Like the movie itself is 150, like the movie that they show from Darren Aronofsky. But I think that varies too because there's VIP levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like half, just a little bit more than half of what AC/DC did just because of size of stadium.
You could probably get into Sphere for 100, maybe even less on the Wizard of Oz or something like that.
Okay.
For the seats that are up there.
Yeah, then you'd have to watch The Wizard of Oz.
Well, there is that, Sue.
Number three would be Trans-Siberian Orchestra. How about that?
Go figure.
They just crank out a lot of
They
shows.
do.
Yeah.
They just crank them out. And number four is Springsteen.
Really?
Yep.
And
so
that's
far
weird
this
because
year.
and that's because he did the tour just in reaction to what happened in Minneapolis, and it wasn't a big long tour, but I guess he made enough compared to everyone else. Let's keep in mind that the summer concert season is just now kicking off. The first half of the year is sometimes a lot slower when it comes to concerts anyway.
For sure it is, but I was impressed with Trans-Siberian Orchestra
I
making
was
it
too.
up that far.
Mainly because most of their shows come at the end of the year, so that's even
Yes.
more confusing to me.
Exactly. I think they tour into January, but still, what? Okay, and there are two Missouri college students that have created an eco-friendly paint that's made from algae. And the startup is called MicroHues, MicroHues, if you want to Google it. And it uses natural pigments that avoid petroleum and microplastics. And this, of course, would reduce environmental impact, blah, blah, blah. But their paint is also designed to be safer for kids and people with sensitive skin. And their idea for an eco-friendly paint started as a class project. It's already moving toward becoming a viable business. It's not Mizzou. It's the other one that used to be Rolla. Help me. S&T.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to look that up, it's pretty cool. They're starting a business based on that. Finally, in Sue's News, today's random fact. Animators doing Aladdin, the movie, based the movement of his pants on MC Hammer's pants.
And why wouldn't you? Exactly. That's a good fit.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. A mixed session on Wall Street this Wednesday. The Dow Industrial Average picked up 182 points, ending the day at 51,849. Nasdaq fell 110 points. The S&P 500 was off 7. Toyota could become the top-selling car maker in the U.S. by year's end, according to a new forecast by Cox Automotive. The first 6 months of this year sees Toyota up 1% to 1.25 million units sold. General Motors down 7% to 1.33 million. It'll be the first time since 2021 that
Toyota had bigger annual sales numbers than GM. Amazon's Zoox has unveiled the next version of its self-driving vehicle ahead of a larger rollout in more cities later this year. The toaster-shaped vehicle has added more comfortable seats and headrests. It is also enlarging and relocating the bidirectional reflectors so as to help riders and others more easily tell the front from the rear of the vehicle. And that is your money now.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering from Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
I want to rave about Michael's Flooring Outlet with 3 great locations, and I'll give you those specific locations in a moment. But I also want to mention, we always talk about new products and, installing flooring into your home. They do a lot of things that happen perhaps after you get that flooring. If you need some, area rug binding, if you need carpet to be re-stretched, if you need carpet cleaning or flooring repairs, anything like that, they can help you with that as well. Now, if you want a flooring project, you want to take charge of that, swing into one of those 3 great locations. They're in Old Town St. Peters, in Darden Prairie, and in Creve Coeur on Olive, and they're open every day of the week except for Sundays. So they're open right now. They'll be there for you until I think it's 6 p.m. tonight. Actually, Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., so that's a lie. Fake news. 7 p.m. rather, 9 to 7 p.m. today, but they're closed on Sunday. They have a great staff. They have people who are experienced in this industry that can really put you in the products that best fit your lifestyle. So whether it's carpet or hardwood or laminate or carpet tile or vinyl or luxury vinyl, the product lines are endless. What's best for your situation? They can help you figure that out at one of those 3 great locations. Or check the website today, igotfloored.com, Michael's Flooring Outlet.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From O'Fallon, Missouri to O'Fallon, Illinois. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm kind of chronicling the purchase of a new grill that Fred has made and the inability.
How about old Fred Bottenheimer over there, ladies and gentlemen?
And I can relate with this, to put it together. So at this point, it's still in a box. And I asked Alex this question, like if you had something like that, a grill in a box or something like that, reminds me of an old SNL bit for a moment there. What would you put that together, or would you have someone else put that together, like I would?
Let me tell you something. I probably would have had it delivered and assembled all in one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked it up or put it together myself.
Yeah, Fred, that's what I would have done as well.
If you order it off of Amazon.
Yeah, see.
Okay, if you're doing it off Amazon, then I guess you got to get the handyman guy, right? But you're going to the brother-in-law.
I'm going to my brother-in-law. John's coming over tonight.
Okay. Oh.
He asked me a couple simple questions. Do you have any tools?
And what was the answer to that question, Fred, just out of curiosity?
I have screwdrivers.
Yeah.
Both Phillips and regular.
Yeah.
And he said, anything else?
Is that it?
That's all. He said, do you have any sockets?
Yeah.
Like a socket set or something like that?
got a
No?
tool. No, I do.
This sounds like
See,
when I had
because-
to get that tire changed. Do you have the tool?
Yeah.
That's right.
Do you have
But
the tool?
Sue, you don't have a vision of Fred like in his white T-shirt and leather jacket out there with the ratchet set,
I
his
do
car,
not.
his car
No.
elevated, doing his own oil change in his garage or something.
I have a picture of Fred with the Mustang that he just bought, parked out on the street because he doesn't know how to drive a stick.
true. Yeah,
I
there you
hadn't
go.
considered that.
I picture Fred standing out there in a white T-shirt with the sleeve rolled up and a pack of cigarettes stuck right
yeah,
in there.
that's the image you,
You
want
know
to
what I
leave the
mean?
audience with. Look, I am incapable of putting things together. And even if I was capable, which I think I could do things, I don't have the patience. I just don't have the patience. And then if you do something wrong, and I do something wrong all the time, like you screw the wrong things in, you got to reverse it or whatever, it just frustrates the hell out of me. So like, not unlike Alex, I would not have gone to Amazon. I would have probably gone to a big box store and said, hey, here's the deal. I want it to, can I pick it up already put together, or can you put it together? And that's what I've done for the last couple of grills, for sure. You got a brother-in-law. That's even better, though, Fred.
Yeah,
Do you have
Fred.
to help, or do you just kind of watch? How does it work?
I'll help like a third grader.
Like
I'll hand him the tools he
like
needs.
part B.
Fred,
Yeah.
don't
goes into
underestimate
C.
yourself. You can
Okay,
hold
fifth
something.
grader.
I feel like my problem whenever I do try to put something like that together myself, I get to the end and it's like I'm left with just a random piece, and I'm like, this was supposed to be on step 3 and I'm on step 12, and like you, I'm not going to go back and take the whole thing apart.
I can point you to a relatively close specific date when I made this decision that lasted the rest of my life up until this point, because I was living here in May of 1997. I was already let go from the station I was working at here, which became KTRS, and I was doing some fill-in work on KMOX at the time, but I had a job waiting for me to start on June 1st in Milwaukee. And my son was born on May 1st. That's why I remember all of this, right? So I had 4 weeks until I took the new job. It actually timed out very well. And I had this house in, I think the subdivision was called Apple Tree Farms. It's in Arnold, near Richardson Road. And this is not a lot was out there at the time. All right. This
Yeah.
was like 1996 when I bought this home. But I remember getting, and it was like something simple like a bookshelf. I think it was a bookshelf that I got at Target or Walmart. And I remember trying to put that together and just getting so frustrated. And I just started breaking the thing in half, and I threw it out.
Oh, my God.
I was so mad that I couldn't put together a stupid bookshelf that I got pissed off, and I just destroyed the whole thing and threw it out. So that was kind of my moment where I said, I'm not trying this anymore because it frustrates me too much. And my father knows this because he's come, they're not really able to travel to St. Louis, but whenever he would come, we would have a list of things for him to do, whether it was just simple things. I have no skills. I wish I did. It's embarrassing, but Fred, I can't do this stuff. I may have a few more tools than you do. I don't really use them. I have them, but it's tough for people who have no skills.
I kind of
this.
made a recent discovery like that, but I think it was when we officially got married last year. And
you and I, or are you talking about?
You and I.
Okay,
yeah.
it sounded weird that way, but
No,
you're talking about
when
Annie, right?
Yeah,
okay,
when I
thank
officially
you.
married Annie last year. And we started getting a bunch of stuff from the registry, and one of the things that we got with all the gift cards we had was a new kitchen table.
Yeah.
A big old, crate
Love
and barrel
that.
kit.
Yes.
And the option was like $150 more to get it
Boom.
delivered
Sold.
and assembled. And you know what? You avoid the arguing. I am not good at putting things together.
Well,
Annie is good at it, but I can't
do it together. No.
Can't do it together, but I also can't be the guy that makes his wife put stuff together at our house. So for me, it just became, I'll just pay the extra to get it assembled.
I will say this: when I went to this weird place across the river to get a bunny hutch because it was super cheap when I got Oreo a couple years ago. And it ended up being a great investment. I mean, I think it only cost me like $70 or something like that, but you had to put it together. And since I was the one kind of bringing the bunny into the household, I was more responsible than my wife was for that. I very patiently, it might have been the first time we ever have done this in our relationship, where we teamworked it, and I didn't get frustrated because I was so interested in getting the hutch together, and I was more patient.
Yeah.
But I
You're
can't
like
do it.
5 years old.
Doesn't that sound
You have to be
I am like 5 years old.
Doesn't that
Yes.
sound like
Yes.
a team building exercise?
It does.
It
But
does.
I could see somebody being like, "All right, you guys have to put this together with Mark.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
would be
like
terrible.
That sounds horrible.
yeah.
Mark, watching you put something together, the pressure.
Well,
sounds
I've talked about
unbelievable.
this before, and there might even be a situation where my friend Carlin Yeager is listening right now. When I go to deer camp, we do all the butchering of the deer. Like we hang the deer in the garage and we skin them, and we cut all the hindquarters off, and then usually I take some meat back here to get processed. But we, as a group, we all do that, right? Except I kind of supervise.
Oh, boy.
I'm really good at saying, hey, you guys need me to do something over here.
That's
It's just
a
been kind of my,
surprise.
my MO over the years. All right, let me talk about candy because I do have a passion for candy, and I love M&Ms. Who doesn't love M&M, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with Maha, I think you're going to find this interesting, and I referenced
heard,
this
yes.
earlier the week. But this was a fascinating story. I do love the Wall Street Journal. For all the media that I pay for, I think I have to pay $38 a month for the Wall Street Journal, but I get a lot of bang for my buck, and I love their content, and their feature reporting is really good. And they went through this the process here because M&M's is actually 85 years old in August. I don't know if you knew that. But they're now, and this is
I didn't.
Dateline, I didn't know that either. Dateline Topeka, Kansas. So they're going to mark that milestone. And when they do that, they will debut a version made without artificial dyes. The bags of chocolate will also be missing two hallmarks, the colors brown and blue. So this goes back to Maha, right? Make America Healthy Again with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. M&M's, Mars is the company, pledged to offer options for some of its iconic products without those dyes this year. So they were going to color them with natural sources, but they're finding that is very, very difficult because blue and brown, and that's only a half of, they have a half dozen colors, it's only two colors. But they're trying to figure out how to deliver convincing replicas of red, orange, and yellow using natural ingredients like beets and turmeric. Blue, which they added in 1995, I didn't know that. That seems late, 1995 for blue. That color wasn't able to recreate affordably at scale.
Yeah.
And they couldn't churn out.
Occur naturally.
Right. So they couldn't churn out the browns, which include a fair bit of blue. So in this article,
didn't know that.
they said blame algae. Mars chose spirulina. It's a high protein ingredient, often touted as a superfood. I've never heard of it, as a blue substitute. But it's been gumming up the U.S. factories that produce the M&Ms each day. So they're talking about in this article that they, in the corporate offices in Newark, New Jersey, they've spent months debating this plan for natural colors. They thought about doing a 3-color mix with red, orange, and yellow, but the sunset vibes were too strong. 4 colors might be better, but which one would they pick? Purple, they found that required too much spirulina. Pink didn't look right. No pop of color. Mars could have delayed the rollout until it was able to replicate the full rainbow. They didn't want to do that, right? They wanted to make sure that they can meet the August deadline, and they said, look, it was hard. You're messing with an 85-year-old icon, and they had to, pledge to cut artificial dyes from all the human food. But when they did that, they changed course for candy. This goes back actually to 2016. And they said, look, people aren't really worried about the dyes in those products. So in all the other products, we'll get rid of them. But in the M&Ms, people don't seem to be bothered by that. But then you had Ken Paxton down in Texas launching an investigation into Mars for, deceptive trade practices tied to the artificial dyes. So then they made their new pledge. And they said, look, we're going to do this with all natural colors. But again, it is really, really difficult. Now, some of the history here is also fascinating. They launched M&Ms, even though the company goes back 85 years, 1941, to provide World War II soldiers with chocolate candy that wouldn't melt.
Yep. That's exactly right. We had this in Sue's News.
I do remember some of this, right.
And what they talked about, part of that was... and remember, that was one of their first ad campaigns when we were kids, that melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
That's right.
So they took it from the battlefield to kids because we'd all walk around with them scrunched in your fist. It's just an interesting story.
It really is. And I guess when they did blue, and that's crazy because it was decades later, you had people voting on the color to take over the tan. It was a tan M&M.
Yes.
And they picked that color over purple or pink. And the Empire State Building even turned its lights blue to celebrate the arrival.
Wow.
But this goes into all kinds of, details here. Like a single chocolate M&M takes how many hours to make, guys?
One single one?
Yeah.
2?
12 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
They blend sugar, cocoa, other ingredients into a mixture that hardens into the solid core. The lentils, as Mars calls them, are then doused in a sugar coating, loaded into a huge rotating drum or pan to be colored. The pan looks like a giant clothes dryer. That's what they say.
Wow.
And as they tumble, there's sprayers that paint the candy shells with dyes, right? Spirulina offered the best match for blue, but the ingredient comes, blue one they say, but the ingredient comes with a host of problems. To get it anywhere close to what they call blue M&Ms, they had to use 7 times the amount of colorant. Even then, they're still lighter. In fact, they have pictures in here. So they have the dark blue, and then they show the new blue, which sort of looks like a robin's egg. You know, it's a lot lighter. Unlike blue one, spirulina arrives at Mars' doorstep as a powder, and it can foam when mixed with a sugary syrup. So this is all crazy science and stuff like this. Green was a lot easier. So they said blue was trouble. Green was a lot easier. They did months of trials. They used spirulina for that, but they had a lot easier time in nailing the color.
Wow.
And then the other thing that happened because of the new ingredients that they were using, they got to clean the machinery, right? So now they need, believe it or not, it's not automatic cleaning. They need more manual labor in the short term because in order to keep the efficiency on the production lines, they have to make sure that the lines are clean, and that takes people to do it, and they have to do it in the time frame. So I think it's interesting. They say that they want to offer all of its colors, all 6 colors, naturally by 2028. They didn't say whether or not artificially dyed M&Ms will disappear from the shelves after that time. So I don't know if you're going to have a couple of choices or not.
Well, remember they did that survey and said, okay, what if we took color out of it? People were like, no.
You can't do that with M&Ms.
So this is what they're trying to do now. I guess we all didn't want brown ones all the way around or whatever, just one color.
But to think of that's a lot of R&D. Now, again, we just talked about this with Tide yesterday. Do you use Tide pods or do you use liquid? What do you use?
Don't use it pods. No pods.
No pods. What do you use?
Pods. Usually we go with the Tide Clear and Fresh, I think.
Yeah.
What do you
use? Is it the yellow one?
Not pod.
Yellow.
That's the white one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
so
one.
I'm the only pod user in the room?
Yeah.
We use the pod for the dishwasher.
Okay, so do I. But the pods for me are so easy. You just throw it in the bottom of the washing machine.
Don't you have to get them
good to go
unlocked every time you go to the store?
Yeah.
No.
They don't have them locked up.
Where do you live? No, they don't have pods locked up.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Not where I live.
I've
that
seen
was going
it.
around for a while. People were eating.
Okay, well, the reason
I've never known.
Walmart.
I don't buy the pods, so I don't know. But.
Okay, the reason I brought it up is because now Tide is actually trying to do something. How did we describe them yesterday? They're like little packets. They look like they're fabric packets, and that's the next level of cleaning. And the reason it kind of matches up with some of the M&M stuff, and I went over this with Sue yesterday, is the science is really, really crazy because of the way the pods work. They have different colors and the different chemicals in those colors and in the pod. They do different things. And one of the things, Alex, that they talked about is cleaning your shirt that you have on right now from Lululemon as opposed to like a cotton shirt. It's different. It requires more of the intensity of the chemicals. Again, I'm not smart enough to understand all this, but these R&D folks go to work on this, and it's a lot of work goes into the little things. You'd be surprised. We're coming back with more on a Wednesday afternoon.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, we've got some issues, or we at least had some issues. So if you are on southbound 270, they cleared the accident north of Big Bend, but we still have a slow go. There was another one south of Manchester. So expect slow pockets from Page down through 21. And as a result, people took 141. Well, it usually backs up, but today it's extra slow. South of Manchester all the way through 44. 44 is slowing in both directions at 270. Southbound 170 is really slow, headed down from Olive through 64. Now, we've got a jam eastbound 44 headed for 55, headed for the Poplar. 40 westbound lines up approaching Kings Highway, and it's slow pockets out through 70. 70 is a bit better if you want to try that. Some moderate volume here and there. On the Illinois side, slow-moving traffic on the Poplar Street Bridge and on eastbound 64 between 111 and 157. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Ethan tells me that we now know the opponent for 1 week from today in the round of 32 for the U.S. in the World Cup. It would be Bosnia-Herzegovina. on next Wednesday. So that is just breaking, I think. Let's talk about your retirement and how you're going to have enough money to last in retirement. That's exactly what they do here in St. Louis at the Retirement Advisory Center. The official financial planners of my show and Mark's and Annie's. We love Thomas and the team. They're there to help you in what could be a very tricky time. And we want to simplify it. We want to make it easier for you. We just wrapped up another in a series of seminars with the group last week at the DoubleTree by Hilton off of Swingley Ridge Road in Chesterfield. We'll do that again, I'm guessing, in August, and then probably rock the last one out in October. But it doesn't matter. You don't need to wait. And I would suggest you don't wait. Make a call, go one-on-one into the office, sit down, and see if you have a chemistry first and foremost. Ask questions. Interview them like I would interview a guest and find out why their clients have not lost any of their principal over these decades, because they're going to teach you this strategy of safely linking to the market to make sure you have enough money to retire on. Call 314-993-9494 or retirementkey.com. Tell them that we sent you over. Thomas Helbing and the Retirement Advisory Group.
2026 is an election year, and 97.1 FM Talk will be your home for every twist and turn in the 2026 midterms. 97.1 FM Talk. Keep it here for radio coverage that's 25 years strong.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-910-2233. That's 800-910-2233. 800-910-2233.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I've actually, in the process of the last couple of minutes when we were in the break, been taking a poll that was sent to me. And I think this is like, I was talking about these text messages that come in that are just scams, but this is a legitimate poll. I'm almost through it here. Are you male or female? It seems very discriminatory to only give me two options, but I'm going to choose one of those. What is your race? I am guilty white person. Which party are you most aligned with? I'll say Republican. So this was an actual, I'm going to submit this, and they're going to say thank you for taking the survey. I think people are getting these. This one is on Amendments 4 and 5. You know, the one to change the way we do the initiative petitions, and then, of course, the phase out of the income tax. And I will say, you know, I think there's always bias in polls, but the way that they did this, they said, do you plan to vote in the August 4th primary? Do you approve or disapprove of Trump? So they go through, you know, Kehoe, do you approve or disapprove? And then they go into the initiative petition situation and the sales tax. Alex, you know, I don't like to drag you into political issues, but, you know, on this plan that Mike Kehoe has to get rid of the state income tax, and then maybe, well, not maybe, we're going to add an additional sales tax to some services. The problem is we don't know which services, where some of the criticism is put the cart before the horse. Have you looked at that issue at all?
I have not. I have not at all.
You should, because I'd be very curious, because in my math, I don't think I could pay more taxes in sales tax than I pay in income tax. Based on,
God, yeah,
I think it's impossible for me to get to the point where I'm paying more in taxes.
I sometimes look at my check more recently, and I'm like, how much? How could you take any more out?
Right. No, I know. I understand that. And that's part of the reason I would hope that people would consider this as a good option. But the scare tactics are underway. Now, Aaron Hedlund's going to join us here at the bottom of the hour, and he is a rock star on this stuff. He's going to really thwart, I think, a lot of the people. And there's people out there listening right now. I have a lot of conservatives that do not like this, and older people in particular are really worried because they feel that they're going to hit the brunt of this. Aaron is a member of the White House Council on Economic Advisors. He was one of the people who advised Governor Kehoe on all this. He's going to join us at 5:32. Got Duane Patterson coming up from hotair.com. to talk politics here in just a couple of minutes. Alex, great to see you.
Great to see you.
How far? We got 2 months till the baby now?
About 2 months till the baby. The crib comes in about 2 weeks. Again, delivered and put together.
Oh, yeah. That's important.
So,
Fred's available.
We're getting things going. Yeah.
I get my brother-in-law.
Yeah. Seriously.
Hey, he's got screwdrivers.
You know what? It's
And
funny.
sockets.
You asked me about TaskRabbit earlier, and my wife was going to get me. She was like, what can I get him for birthday, whatever, like as a gift? And she thought about TaskRabbit, but then she thought that would just be adding another task for me because I'd be worrying.
Right.
I'd be worrying that the TaskRabbit people were going to do the task the right way. So, no, we just paid directly for putting it together. 100%.
Well, I'm going to see how Fred's brother-in-law does, and then may have to call him into service in the future. We're looking for some Google reviews coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, it's busy out there. Now, southbound 141 is really jammed, south of Manchester down through 44. It's also pretty slow. Headed for 64, approaching Ladue Road. We've got southbound 270 with slow pockets approaching Olive. That stretches down to just south of 44. 44 is pretty slow in both directions at 270. And southbound 170, slow. This is Olive down through 64. We've got westbound 40 lining up, approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland. Slow pockets that really go all the way out through 70. There was an accident past Winghaven, causing delays. Eastbound is slow, especially approaching 270 through Big Bend. It's slow on the Poplar Street Bridge eastbound and on eastbound 64 at 255. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, guys, I want you to head into Game Day Men's Health. There are two locations that I recommend here in the St. Louis area, and they are in Chesterfield and in O'Fallon, Missouri. And that is because Matt Lawrence, who's a friend, I've gotten to know Matt, runs those clinics. He has a great passion for what he does. We had him on the air a couple of weeks ago, but for you guys, and here's what you need to know. You probably certainly heard of testosterone replacement therapy. What can it do for you? Can it boost your energy when you're not feeling up to it at the end of the day? You can't, do things that you want to do. You want to feel like yourself again. They can help you with a variety of TRT options. You have injections. They even have pellets that you can inquire about. But that's not all they do at Game Day Men's Health. They do peptides and vitamins, GLP-1s and microdosing of GLP-1s. They have sports injury recovery plans that really help you when you're out on that pickleball court and you get hurt, and also some sexual wellness and ED solutions that really work a lot better than the blue pill. Take advantage of a free appointment to get your blood drawn and then a customized plan at Game Day Men's Health. It's a 1-hour appointment. They stick to that. They're very proud of that. So check out the clinic in Chesterfield and in O'Fallon, Missouri, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You go to that website, you can book an appointment right there and tell them that we sent you in. Game Day Men's Health.
Bill, that's a big smile for an old politician.
I'm thinking about our plan. It's slick enough to make a lobbyist blush. First, we hoodwink voters with Amendment 5. Tell them it's a tax cut. Once they're hooked, we decide who pays the higher taxes.
So it's not a tax cut plan, and we don't get a say?
Right, just swaps who pays the tax, but it does remove 3 voter-passed taxpayer constitutional protections. That lets us levy new taxes on services, increase sales taxes, and even tax home sales, and voters will no longer get to vote on tax hikes.
Higher sales taxes on groceries, gas, service taxes on doctor visits, childcare, and even rent on apartments. Jeez. taxes could exceed 20%.
Sure, they figure that up to 80% of taxpayers will pay more taxes. Many, hundreds more. Seniors, they'll get hit even harder. But our big donors will cut a fat hog.
The ones getting butchered by Amendment 5 are most taxpayers. I'm voting no on 5.
Paid for by Missourians for fair taxation.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
High-stakes meeting at the White House. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. As President Trump sits down with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte.
I just want their loyalty. We don't need their money. We don't need anything. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. But I just want loyalty. You know, we're so loyal to them.
The president says NATO didn't do enough to aid with the Iran conflict, but Rutte, using charts, outlined the numbers, saying about 5,000 U.S. planes took off from bases in Europe during the conflict. The White House has formally asked for nearly $88 billion in defense spending, mostly to replenish stockpiles after the conflict. A tense meeting this afternoon between the president and Senate Republicans, a shouting match breaking out between the president and Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy after the president asked about the war powers resolution, which passed in the Senate yesterday. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville defending the president's decision to not sign a housing bill until the Save America Act is passed.
He brought up all the situations to where we can get the Save America Act passed. And everywhere I go, everywhere all Republicans go across this country, and their line, if they don't tell you it's not true, is Save America Act is the number one thing that people want. They want fair elections.
The Save America Act would call for a voter ID and proof of citizenship to cast a ballot. President Trump reacting after 3 New York City congressional candidates backed by Mayor Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist, won their primaries last night, including Brad Lander, who ousted Dan Goldman.
I was very surprised to see, because he's a pretty liberal guy. When they go more liberal than Dan Goldman, they're really into Never, never land.
Goldman was one of the House members involved in one of the impeachment inquiries of the president during his first term. America is listening to Fox News.
Please be advised. You may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, bean sprouts, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
Wait, what? I thought those were good for me.
Turns out, not for everyone. Because what's healthy for one person can cause inflammation for another. And the only way to really know what your body needs is to listen to it.
Listen how?
That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to understand what's happening inside you right now. When your results come in, you'll learn exactly which foods to eat, which to avoid, and which supplements are right for you, all based on the world's largest RNA-based human biology database and thousands of clinical research studies. And many people who use Viome report more energy, better digestion, and a better mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing. Learn more at Viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase. Viome. Trust.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
After a couple of quiet days, we are now going into a long-lasting stretch of unsettled weather that will end with the return of summer. A few thunderstorms around this evening, otherwise partly cloudy, 67. A mix of clouds and sunshine Thursday with scattered showers and thunderstorms, some with Heavy downpours of rain, 86. Thursday night, Friday night, periods of showers and thunderstorms. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
One more hour to go here on a Wednesday edition of the show. We got Aaron Hedlund coming up at the bottom of the hour. Aaron is a member of the White House Council on Economic Advisors, and we're going to talk about Amendment 5, the plan to phase out the income tax, which, I'm going to support. I do support it, but I'm feeling like it's not going to pass. But we'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour. We'll have audio cut of the day as well. Senator Eric Schmidt blasted this out on his socials last night in the aftermath of what he called the hammer and sickle wave in New York City. One, the base of the Democrat Party is now post-American in their ideals and in their voters. Primary winners ran on ending the American empire and blamed American capitalism for 9/11. Why do you think they're fighting so hard to stop the Save America Act? Good point there. 2, Chuck Schumer, the great arsonist of the Senate, is not a viable candidate for re-election in 2028. He sacrificed his career on the altar of mass migration. Now mass migration will cannibalize him. I think that's pretty accurate, too. 3, import the third world, become the third world. Half of New York City residents have a language other than English as their primary language. Zoran got 62% of the foreign-born votes, 31% of American-born votes. I bet that trend continues for the lefty winners of these primaries. And his list goes on, but as I interrupted here, let me welcome into the fray this afternoon our friend Duane Patterson, who contributes at hotair.com, and he's the host of the Duane's World podcast. How are you, Mr. Patterson? Good to speak with you. We had last week off because I wasn't here, but I hope all is well in your world.
Everything is okay in my world because as bad as California is, at least I don't have 3 socialists that are going into Congress all around me.
I mean, good Lord, to Senator Schmidt's point, this is, crazy. And I always kind of defend a lot of our Democrats here in Missouri, certainly the ones that come on my show, because they're not lunatics, right? They're not crazy. They don't believe that capitalism is the root of all evil and all these things, but they sure do when it comes to these primaries in a lot of states. And, we see this happen on the right, too, with some of the more extreme candidates. But these are people who hate this country that want to become members of Congress. That just seems a little un-American to me as we celebrate our 250th anniversary.
Well, yeah, there's definitely the anti-American sentiment to it, which is certainly forefront. But as I put up a piece last night after the results were in, and it ran this morning at Hot Air, and what seems to be as in the forefront as the economic socialist policies, which are disastrous if they are actually implemented. But they are virulently anti-Semitic.
Oh, my God.
In a way that I have not seen in my lifetime.
I think you're right, and it's shocking to me. Look,
really
let's talk about Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman is a nut job, lefty, wacko Democrat.
There is nothing about Dan Goldman and his ideology and his approach to governance that I would agree with.
Right.
Nothing.
No,
right?
He's one of the more irritating people in Congress, but he gets tossed out because he doesn't hate Jews, because he is Jewish. Listen to Scott Jennings on this.
Fascinated by the Goldman-Lander primary. I agree with you. I think Dan's going to lose. I don't agree with much of anything he's done in Congress, but I'm surprised you sort of glossed over the main issue in this race, which is Israel. Dan Goldman is a congressman, and he's Jewish, and he went into a coffee shop this weekend in Brooklyn, and they said, "You're not welcome here anymore." Brad Lander is out speaking in mosques, telling those people that he'd like to go align himself with Ilhan Omar and the rest of the squad. Dan Goldman's only sin, I guess, is that he thinks Israel has a right to exist. And for that, that has been the principal issue in this. And you've got the mayor of New York City, Mamdani, out saying about AIPAC and Jewish Americans who have participated in our politics that they are, quote, monsters. What is happening right now in New York City, the Democrat socialist takeover of the Democratic Party, should frighten not just Jewish Americans, but all Americans everywhere, because this is the direction the Democrats are headed nationally. Look what's happening in Michigan, and it is frightening. Throwing Democrat Jewish congressmen out of coffee shops in Brooklyn, New York, It's not 1930s Germany. This is the United States of America.
I mean, I thought that was a great soundbite by Jennings. And by the way, he said that before, the results were final, and Goldman did lose. But you have,
and he lost by 31 points.
Yeah, he got smoked. And then this Daralizia Avila Chevalier, I don't even know how to pronounce her name.
Chevalier.
Okay, that I'm not good at that. But she basically campaigned on the platform that we are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization, which is fascinating. But that, at least she's honest. I give her credit for being honest because that's what a lot of this is about.
It is in your face, naked anti-Semitism because this is what they truly believe. Most of these people are immigrants to the country, either first or second generation immigrants to the country. They're coming from a part of the world that thinks that the Jews are all of what the problems are. You're seeing a lot of this in Europe. You're seeing a lot of this. You're seeing it in big pockets of the Middle East. We had on Danielle Pletka today on Hugh's show from AEI, and she said, "I know you brought me on to talk about Iran and also to talk about what happened in New York." And it's really the same conversation when you actually boil it down to what it's all about. It's all about Jew hatred. And here's the thing. I mean, I'm a Republican. You know me. I'm a conservative here. So anytime the Democratic Party primaries successfully and basically boots 3 incumbent Democrats off of the same ballot, I'm thinking it's pop the popcorn time and hoist a cold one, right? I want to see that as a Republican. However, man, oh man, the 3 people that they put in to go along with Graham Plattner, to go along with Al Sayed out of Michigan, to go along with Zohran Mamdani running New York, and you now have you're on the threshold of the Democratic Party completely losing control of its own soul.
Well, and I agree with you, by the way, because these are radical, dangerous people. And in what Senator Schmidt said, and I want to talk about this point because he wrote this on Facebook and on X as well, I think, it's becoming more and more clear that the left is rallying around explicitly anti-Western views as it loses ground on the trans DEI front, just as the left has done in Europe. Watch this space in the 28 Democratic presidential primaries. Communists winning elections is not a win for the right. This will do great damage to our country and to the political outlook of many Americans. I would love the legacy media to address these issues of the hatred of America of some of these elected officials, but I don't think we're going to get a fair shot. But it is frightening to me. It also gives me pause here in St. Louis, Duane, because it's not something that's being discussed a lot, but Cori Bush and Wesley Bell are in a primary battle. Wesley Bell is the incumbent. He's the one that booted her a couple years ago. He votes with, the Democrats 99% of the time. However, he has done some things from Missouri and St. Louis that Cori Bush would have never done because he's worked in a bipartisan way. But I have to wonder if Cori Bush doesn't have a legit shot at taking him down because of the way that these other elections are going.
Even if she doesn't, here is how important elections are. And I'm not going to give you the old canard that, this election is the most important of my lifetime. We hear that every single time. But here is the practical impact here. Your audience, serving most of St. Louis, is looking at what happened in New York, and they're thinking, serves them right. They're a bunch of loonies. It's their problem. It doesn't affect me. It's not my problem. Here's the thing that you have to understand. Let's say all 3 of those that are in safe districts, they win their elections in the general elections in the fall, and they now join Congress. And that nutty progressive squad, anti-Semitic socialist wing of the House Democrats is now 3 stronger, or maybe 5 or 6 stronger when you add some California nuts that are going to be joining the fray, or maybe a couple more from Illinois, or a couple from Oregon or Washington. What's going to happen is if the House Democrats take control of the House of Representatives this fall, as conventional wisdom says they're going to, I happen to be optimistic, thinking that you field a slate of absolute wingnut leftists that are out of step with the country. you're going to have a problem actually convincing them in a national election. But I could just be Pollyanna-ish here. But let's say that the Democrats win majority of the House. Do you think Hakeem Jeffries is going to be able to keep the progressive wing of the conference in check with their numbers swelling and momentum growing?
No, I think Hakeem Jeffries is lucky that he's not being primaried, because I don't think he'd be the Speaker of the House if the Democrats take control.
So if it's New York that is going to send a bunch of really hardcore anti-Semitic socialist Marxists to the House and swell those numbers, it is incumbent upon every single one of us, even in a district that is 1,000, 2,000 miles away, you have got to make sure that Republicans keep control of the Congress, even if you don't like the gas prices, even if you don't like how Trump has handled the Iranian war. There may be a lot of things that you don't like about what the Republicans have or have not done in the last 2 years since you last voted. It doesn't matter. What matters is there is a real choice between the ancient evil rearing its ugly head once again and about ready to be dominant in American politics, or defeating it again. That's really what this is going to boil down to.
In your piece in Hot Air, Duane Patterson is here with us. You embedded a tweet from the aforementioned Ms. Chevalier in which she said, "I forgot to get napkins, so I just wiped my hand on the American flag behind me." So, I mean, they don't even try to keep it secret
and
that they're...
there won't be one Democrat, not one, that walks away from that. They will find a way to excuse it or minimize it because they can't put themselves in the path of an oncoming freight train.
What do you, let me just take you back to Iran and everything that's going on. You and I have had some in-depth conversations about this. You know that I've not been as big a supporter as you have, and I'm certainly worried about what's happening right now in the timetable in the 60 days. And I just think we're in a bit of a quagmire here with this politically. By the way, I agree with you. One of the things I want to make clear, I do not forget all the great things and the accomplishments that this president has made, which would not have been made, including all of our taxes would have gone up if Kamala was the president. So I'm not ignoring any of that. I'm just saying I don't know how we're going to get out of this thing without this hurting. And this is where I'm really concerned, Duane, just so you know. It's not about me. It's not about, anything related to me personally. It's about caring about the country and the future of Congress, because I feel like this is going to drag Republicans down.
The Iranian thing could, if it blows up, if the deal blows up and we have to if we have to go back and do kinetic activity before the election.
Well, let's face it.
Yes.
What are the chances that's not going to? We're going to have to do kinetic activity. I mean, I can't believe we haven't done more at this point. That's the part that's frustrating, because there's no diplomacy that's going to work here. You're not going to convince me of that. And if he pulls that off somehow miraculously, I guess good for Trump. But we're not going to get the enriched uranium.
5 will get you 10. Trump's going to string them along as much as they're trying to string him along. 5 will get you 10 that we get through the election. Once we get through the midterm, there now becomes a 6-month window before you have to worry about the 28 presidential cycle. Then there's a 6-month window where if Donald Trump wants to find them out of compliance, he can bomb the snot out of them again. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't think that there is going to be too much problem between now and November. There will be fits and starts, and everybody will throw their hands up, and everybody's going to try and tear this deal apart. And I'm no fan of this deal, mind you. I want to bomb them and get it over with and move on to cleaning up the ashes afterwards. But I think what's going to happen is, what's oil closed today at about 73 for Brent crude, and West Texas was at 69. You start getting into the 60s again, which is where this is headed, all of a sudden the economy is going to get a lot healthier between now and November. And I think there's a lot of motivation amongst the Trump team to get us through November, and then we'll reassess. If we've got to bomb them then, we'll bomb them then. But if the economy is improving because gas and oil is coming down, it doesn't have to get to X point for the Republicans to benefit. It just has to be moving in the right direction. Gas prices, since a month ago when you and I talked, have gone down 60 cents a gallon. I don't know what it's like in St. Louis, but it's back into the 5.75 range for California, and we're like, woo, that's great for us.
It has not gone down very fast around here. I paid $95 to fill up my tank in central Illinois. Now, mind you, they're a lot higher in Illinois, and I take premium. But no, we're waiting for those gas prices to plummet like we were promised. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to survive anything, outside of this, because I'm sure you're dialed into the fact that there is a trans femicide state of emergency that has been declared in the city of Chicago, a city that had, 10 murders and 35 shootings over the weekend. But Brandon Johnson says for too many transgender Chicagoans, the sense of belonging they deserve in their city has been denied by the exclusion and barriers to opportunity in spaces that should feel safe and welcoming. So he is declaring a trans femicide state of emergency. I don't even know if that's made up. I think it is. What in the hell is he doing in Chicago?
I have no idea, but if there is an actual state of emergency in Chicago, it's that the Bears are playing in Indiana.
Well, right. There's a lot of things.
That's the state of emergency.
When I was up there with my family, most of the people up there do not think that that's going to happen in the end. They bought this big piece of property out in Arlington Heights.
Who's going to stop them?
Well, I don't know.
Thank you.
But I'm still not sold that that's going to be a final deal, that they're going to go to Gary, Indiana, but we'll see. And I don't really care because I'm a Packers fan. Duane, great to have you on. We'll talk next week. We'll see you.
You got it.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
See you, Duane. On the roads.
He got it in there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. On the roads, we look good in some areas, but boy, are we jammed on eastbound 44, headed for 55, and headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. And we've got volume in both directions on the Poplar itself. The other bridges seem to be okay if you want to try something new. We've got an accident on the Illinois side, westbound 64 past 159, a jam there, and eastbound slows 255 to 157. Wow, we've got eastbound 40. It's a jam reported east of Lindbergh, and that's created some slow-moving traffic. And then it's slow again at the Interbelt, westbound slowing at Kings Highway, southbound 170 slow Olive through 64. Southbound 270 has been a mess today. Look for it to slow from Olive down through 44, and southbound 141 is just jammed at 44. Eastbound 44 jams at 270. Out west, kind of the usual volume on 70, but an accident reported near Cave Springs, and 64 slow pockets Highway N through the 70 split. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Just try their 26-point tune-up. One price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
A lot of fun stuff happening at the Missouri Athletic Club. Of course, we also take care of some awesome local organizations philanthropically with a lot of money that's raised through the MAC Charitable Society for Children, which is an extension of the Sports Foundation, and it's sort of a club within a club. So we pick 3 charities. This year it's Books for Newborns, Joshua's Great Things that helps kids with brain cancer, and the Missouri Kids Coalition, which helps young people who have life-altering injuries that threaten their independence. And that's something you can help with year-round at the MAC. They just announced something today that I think if you're a hockey fan, and obviously there's stuff happening in the NHL right now with the trades. Jordan Kyrou was traded yesterday. Chris Pronger, legend of the Blues, big defenseman. He's going to join Martin Kilcoyne at the Downtown Clubhouse for part of the MAC Speakers Series. They're going to talk to you on his new book, which is called Earned: The True Cost of Greatness, and Chris's life, career in hockey. It's awesome that he still lives here in St. Louis as well. That's something you need to register for. I can't skip over what's going to happen the 4th of July, because Friday, July 3rd and Saturday, July 4th at the downtown location with everything that's happening with Fair St. Louis is really going to be very cool, and there's all kinds of plans. Check out the MAC website to get updated on all that right now, mac-stl.org.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, we've been covering a little bit of what happened in New York with the, they're not socialists, they're communists and Marxists that are winning these elections. They hate America. They want to defund the police. They want to abolish ICE. They, the list goes on and on. They want to expand the Supreme Court to God knows how big. Here's the kingmaker of them all, and it's kind of sad, yet entertaining, the mayor of New York City, Mamdani.
Is it your goal to make America a socialist country?
My goal is to make America a place that every American can afford.
Well, can you wave your magic wand? He says that socialism is on a roll.
Last June, a year ago tomorrow, was not an anomaly. It was not the end. It was the beginning.
You know, going back to some of the conversation with Duane and even earlier conversations today, I'm really nervous about the future because of where young people are.
Yes.
And, I did this podcast with my friend Vance Crowe last week, actually a couple weeks ago, and he blasted it out when I was on vacation, so I never reposted it, and I should. But we had some interesting conversations because Vance is a younger guy. He's someone who does these legacy interviews.
Right.
So you could sit down with your parents or grandparents and they can offer a history of the family. You can have that, on digital,
right,
whatever, a digital card or your memory. You'll have it in the cloud for the rest of your life. That's kind of what his business is. But the podcast, we get into different areas, and he's been nice enough to invite me 3 times. I mean, his language, and you could probably, when you watch this, you can see me react to it because he thinks that we're literally heading to a revolution.
Wow.
And some of this has to do with AI. Some of it has to do with, lost in belief in the American dream that young people have, this appeal of socialism that young people are drawn to.
Jeez
but when you
Louise.
start thinking of, the older population and those of us who are aging and saying, okay, we don't want any part of this anymore. We want to retire, kind of live our days and have some fun. But younger people, and I don't know what the answers are because I have kids that are, in their 20s right now. And I'm pretty sure if you would ask them, one's a school teacher, one is in the restaurant industry, do you think you'll be able to afford a house? They'd probably say no. I mean, the price
Would
of
you at
the,
that age have said the same thing?
maybe if I was 25.
I think so too, and I think a lot of this is
but look, maybe that's part of it because sure, you're in a situation where you don't know how the rest of your life is going to unfold.
Yeah.
You know what your salary is going to be.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about, look, Sue, St. Louis is not the best example of this, all right? Because you can still find a starter home that's not going to completely bust the bank.
Exactly.
But there was a network report yesterday. I think Fox was talking about how the average starter homes in many of these states, California, New York, are like $1 million. Like,
you have to be smart about where you live. You can't live. Yeah.
But what do you do if you're someone like my son's in Houston. I can't imagine it's cheap to buy a home. It's not even cheap to rent a home. So I think the point of all that is, and I know, we all had to figure it out and try to save money on it. But when you have prices of starter homes that are $500,000, $350,000, how do you even begin to do the math on that when you're not making nearly enough money?
Well, you have to go to a place you can afford. I don't think it's that complex. I mean, we all lived in tiny, tiny apartments. I remember a friend of mine using gas station credit cards to buy meals.
Sure.
And he now has a house, and it's possible. You just don't know. And I understand it's tight, but I also think some of that is possible. You just would have to change. People don't like that. Oh, gosh, but I want to stay here. Okay.
Right.
What's the trade-off?
My point, look, I made sacrifices. I lived in little crappy apartments. I got divorced. I lost everything. I lived in another crappy apartment.
Yes.
So, look, I understand that. But look, when the price point on a starter home is a lot higher, even when you consider cost of living and wages and all that, a lot higher than it used to be, and it's unattainable for a lot of people. And sure, there's personal responsibility here. You go to a school for 4 years, you take on, $250,000 in debt when you have a art or history degree and you can't make that money back. That's certainly going to be a part of it as well. But going back to the, concern about the future, I think Vance's point was there's going to be this big, generational divide. And there are a lot of people out there, they don't want to work.
Yeah.
They don't have a work ethic. They want things to be handed to them. They want the government to provide them with things. And that is, unfortunately...
And that's a mindset.
Well, it's a mindset, but it's also affected by the effort to bring down Western civilization, which happened with the mass migration crisis. So all of this is kind of interconnected. Look, I've said this before. I'm glad that I'm kind of in maybe... I don't know if I'm in the fourth quarter, but I'm certainly in the late third quarter as opposed to,
fair.
Kickoff. And kickoff is hard for people these days. I really, look, we were talking about this with George last night. Think about someone that right now, I'm sure you can go to WashU or SLU and become a radiologist, right? Because they have good medical schools. And then you have our guy from ThrottleNet, George Rosenthal, who comes on last night and says basically AI is able to, dissect and determine radiation better than humans can.
Right.
Like they can do the scans and analyze them better than a human. So you've just spent $300,000 to go to WashU or SLU to become a radiologist, making what, $500,000 a year. Oops, that job's not there anymore. So then what do you do?
Well, that's true too, but I'm sure just as people have through time, you can roll. Like there are no operators, telephone operators don't exist anymore. There are many antiquated jobs that don't exist.
I think it's different with AI.
And
there's nothing. We've had
sure it will.
Technology is one thing, and certainly we've had entire industries. Look what happened to Netflix, and they figured it out, right?
Exactly.
They used to send you DVDs.
Right, exactly. So I think that's possible as well. Although we really don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's possible.
Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Here's where it's not possible. If the Democrats control Congress and run Washington again, then I give up all hope.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Boy, we've got issues on the roads. There is an accident eastbound 6440, and it's just east of Lindbergh. This is causing a delay behind it, so watch out for that. We've got a jam that goes back through 270. Then we had one kind of reported approaching McKnight, so a little bit of a mess through there. Westbound lines up at Kings Highway out through McCausland. Southbound 170, slow pockets south of Olive down through 64. We've got volume on southbound 270, the Olive, but it goes down to another accident reported near Highway 100, which, of course, is Manchester. So a slow go through there. 55 is in okay shape. That's not bad. Maybe a little moderate volume in the construction zone. Some volume on the Poplar Street Bridge headed into Illinois. 64 is jammed at 157. Westbound, there was an accident past 159 causing delays. Now, if you're out west, 70 isn't bad. 64 lines up at Highway N in pockets. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do everything from windows to bathrooms with quality craftsmanship. Go to lakesiderd.com. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The other thing we're going to talk about is, of course, like when we moved here in 1979, my mom and dad bought that house that's in Baldwin. The interest rates were very high. So like my friend Bill Coughlin from Banner Construction, he sent me a text that he says, I bought my first house at 26 years old. And he said in 1880. I knew he was that old. Mortgage rate was 17.9%. No, it was 1980.
I mean, that's outrageous.
Yeah. So, look, a lot of these things are relative, and I get that. But I guess I'm very worried about the younger generation for a variety of reasons. I'm not just worried because I don't think they're going to be able to buy homes. I'm worried because I think they're crazy in what their ideology is, and the path they're going to lead the country down concerns me greatly.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. 1798. The ink was still drying on the Constitution. America was still in its infancy. And the subject of freedom was already at the center of debate. It was a period of tension. Abroad, Britain and France were constantly in conflict. America was caught in the middle, and the newly formed political parties were polarized by foreign alliances. President John Adams and his fellow Federalists in Congress believed that the new nation must be built on centrality and loyalty and aim to curb political dissent through the Alien and Sedition Acts. Journalists were prosecuted and critics were silenced, though for the public, the legislation was seen as an assault on the First Amendment and remained unpopular. 3 years later, the legislation was not renewed, proving that freedom always prevails over fear.
America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk, sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
When it comes to hiring a contractor, you need somebody you can trust. It's Mark Cox, and I want to tell you about my friend Curtis Carell of the Carell Roofing Company. Curtis fixed my roof. It was after a major hailstorm. He came the same day, got up, inspected it, and from start to finish, from having the adjuster out, pointing out what he thought was wrong, all the way until it was done, it was a fantastic experience. And that's not just my experience. I have coworkers here at the radio station who've also used Carell Roofing Company, and a lot of my listeners have taken my advice, and I thank you for that. Curtis goes the extra mile. He just sent his crews out to Kansas City. They got additional training on working with insurance adjusters, making them more likely to get approval on your case. If you've been denied, call Carell Roofing Company and get Curtis on the case. He's going to do a good job for you. More than 20 years of experience in the roofing industry, and you can take that to the bank. Call him at 314-222-9529 or CarellRoofingCo.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
536, this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
25 years strong. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
As I was on the air in the 4 o'clock hour, I mentioned this. I got a poll texted to me, and it was about Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, and I'm going to vote yes on both of those. But I have some concerns, certainly about Amendment 5. That's the one to, basically replace the state income tax, phase it out with expanded sales taxes. Aaron Hedlund is with us this afternoon, member of the White House Council on Economic Advisors, been working on this plan with Governor Kehoe and the Show Me Institute. Aaron, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. I was with what I would assume is our mutual friend Rex Singfield last night. And I told Rex I was concerned about Amendment 5. He's a big supporter. I'm worried that it's not going to pass. I'm getting pushback from even some Republicans. Now, Aaron, I feel like a lot of the information that's being pushed out by the opponents of Amendment 5 they're lying and they're making things up and their scare tactics and their sky's falling stuff. But unfortunately, that resonates and sometimes works. So what I was hoping you could do is maybe blow up some of the myths and the lies out there in the campaign against this, because this is going to rear up and this election is just 6 weeks away now, isn't it?
Gladly. And first of all, this is a generational opportunity, but the plan is quite practical. And the first thing you should do is take a step back. When you hear the sky is falling rhetoric, let's look at the other states that actually have this. And if you look at Texas, if you look at Tennessee, and if you look at Florida, the sky's not falling there. Everyone's moving there. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The jobs are going there. The businesses are going there. 70% more Missourians moved to Tennessee compared to the number of Tennesseans that moved to Missouri. So something is going on good there, not bad. So what does the actual amendment do? What the opponents are portraying it as is that they're portraying it as a tax hike bill when it's the exact opposite. Is it about cutting taxes, and especially about getting rid of the most damaging tax at all, which is the tax on workers' paychecks. That's what keeps businesses away. That's why we've been bottom 10 in the country for much of the past 25 years when it comes to economic growth. And the White House actually put out a study in January that found that the average worker in Missouri would see their pre-tax wage, the actual paycheck that the employer is paying them, go up by nearly $3,000. And in fact, this is not just about replacing the income tax with sales taxes, not at all. It's about putting limits on government, revenue limits, to make sure that government cannot grow excessively in the way that it has been, and then taking those savings and putting those back in the pockets of Missouri taxpayers. And on top of that, some of the loopholes that are currently in the tax system that the wealthy take advantage of, closing those up, which enables a partial revenue replacement. We're talking about the typical family in Missouri getting thousands of dollars back in their pocket. That's a very positive thing.
Well, I think so too. And I guess what I've encouraged people to do is maybe just do the math. Look at your withholding. Look at how many times your money is confiscated and what that amounts to at the end of the year. I'm not good at math, Aaron, but when I've done the math, I don't think it's mathematically possible for me to pay more in sales taxes than I do in state income taxes. Now, that's my situation. But as you know, let me talk about some of the opponents. And I saved this little post from Facebook from someone who is named Katie Denich, who's a realtor. And her post said, I don't even know this person. She said, "Wake up, Missouri. If the measure to remove the income tax becomes law, you will be paying sales tax on absolutely everything," which is a lie. You'll be taxed on funerals, doctor's visits, vehicle sales, medications, dentist expenses, vehicle repairs, home repairs, medical. She goes on. And she says this. She goes, if you buy a $250,000 home, you'll have to add $45,000 to your purchase price. So, look, that's ridiculous. And I actually made a wager with her. I said, I will bet you $45,000 that will never happen. She didn't respond to my offer. But that's just ludicrous. And I don't get what the realtors are doing here. They're taking a stand here. The governor's already made it clear that that's not going to happen. The same thing with health care. But they're getting away with a lot of these lies right now, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, all those stats that you just outline that she talked about are completely made up.
Yes.
None of that is going to happen. In fact, if the amendment passes the day after it passes, you know what happens to the sales tax? Nothing. No change. So, yeah, there'd be flexibility to close loopholes, but let's keep that in mind. Any dollars that would come in through any sales tax change would have to be offset at least dollar for dollar by income tax reduction and property tax reduction at the local level. And there's zero sales tax in housing. That would not happen before. That would not happen after. Frankly, I think when it comes to the realtors, this is a little bit kind of like the unions versus the union bosses in prior elections. I think when rank and file realtors look at what's the housing market in Missouri and compare that to the housing market in Tennessee, we much rather would have a housing market like Tennessee where there's tons of transactions, people are moving, more is being built. Realtors would make a lot more money from having a vibrant state. And that's exactly what this amendment will do.
Okay, but what a lot of people will say, and this is, I can hear it through my headphones right now. Some listeners are going to say, look, okay, guys, that's fine, but St. Louis is not Nashville. Kansas City is not Nashville. Yeah, we have Branson, but it's not Nashville. They'll say about Texas, look, we don't have big cities like Dallas and Houston. So a lot of people don't believe in the opportunities economically that this could potentially provide.
So that's the crux of the matter. How did Nashville become Nashville? And if anybody says Nashville's only doing great because everyone loves honky-tonk, I mean, that's just a joke. I mean, and by the way, the entire state of Tennessee is doing very, very well. It's not just Nashville. You can look at all counties across the state. It's doing phenomenally well. You look at Dallas. Why is Dallas completely kicking St. Louis's butt? Right? It's not luck and it's not oil. They have an economic environment that's attracting businesses of all types, robust industries. Businesses are literally moving from St. Louis to Dallas. We have a chance to reverse that. Missouri has a lot of great assets. We do have 2 substantial cities on both sides of the border. We've got other cities throughout the state for people who love more rural living. We've got great communities, but we need something that puts us on the top of the list for entrepreneurs, top of the list for our own kids. We don't want to be a state where people just retire and then the younger generations move away. And that's what this can reverse. Make sure everyone at every stage, when people are starting their career, mid-career, retiring, is a healthy, vibrant state.
Aaron Hedlund is with us. And again, don't misinterpret any of this because I support it. I want people to vote for it. However, one of the things that I even have difficult kind of pushing back against is sort of the cart before the horse argument. Why didn't the lawmakers make it more clear? Because then it allows these groups to go out there and, make these lies and contrive all these scenarios. Why wouldn't you have maybe done a little bit more and explain the carve-outs before sending this to the voters?
Yeah, so what I'd say is this actually builds on a formula that has been working fairly well over the past several years, which is that we have gone from a 6% income tax to 4.7%, and that was based on putting in place revenue growth triggers. The problem is that can only go so far. Like, this takes that to the next level. It can take us to zero much more quickly. And, of course, you're never going to have every single detail of the tax code written into the Constitution. I mean, we don't have that with the income tax right now. The key is putting in place the general principles and the guardrails and the protections. And I can say definitively that there is no way the legislature can use this amendment to bring in higher tax revenue than without the amendment. This is a tax-cutting amendment. It is impossible for the legislature to bring in more. At the same time, it is responsible for the budget. The income tax rate only comes down as those revenue growth triggers are hit. So when you have some opposition groups coming out there saying that, the large majority of people would face tax hikes at the same time that it would create a budget crisis, those aren't even logically compatible statements with each other, and they're both false independently.
So I'm 68 years old or 70 or 72 years old. I'm retired. I'm not getting a paycheck anymore. And I don't see any benefit to this because I'm not paying state income taxes without my paycheck. And I'm worried that I'm going to pay everything more with sales taxes. So older people are expressing that concern. What's the response to that?
Yeah, I'd say several things. So first of all, this would be an amazing bill, an amazing amendment, I should say, for healthcare. Because you have a situation then where healthcare right now is subject to the income tax, and that's priced into things. That goes away. We have much more healthcare providers. The income tax shows up in the price of many other things, too. So you take that away, and that hidden tax that's driving up costs goes away. On top of that, property tax reduction. People, and particularly seniors, are very upset by the steep increases in property taxes. And the reform here enables those taxes to go down. So those are just 2 benefits, not to mention the fact that, more of their own kids and grandkids stay in the state because of the great job opportunities.
I hope people are dialed in. One of the other concerns, and I know my understanding is a lot of the ads have kind of started. I don't watch a whole lot of local news, so I haven't really seen any of the ads. Some folks have sent them to me. People are starting vacations. We have the big America 250 celebration. But as I kind of indicated at the beginning of the interview, this is going to, come up on us very quickly here in 6 weeks, making this decision. I just hope that people take time to look at, all of the possibilities and the opportunities here, because I think it's big and bold, and that's why I love what Governor Kehoe is doing. I just want people to be informed and not making decisions based on the lies that are out there that are being spread by the realtors and other groups.
100%. I would just say, let's look at the other states that are completely beating us. Let's learn something from what they're doing. Don't buy the scare tactics. This is absolutely a tax-cutting bill, not a tax hike bill. It's very responsible. It's a great opportunity for the state.
Aaron, thank you so much. I appreciate coming on here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me on.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a couple of accidents along eastbound 64. One is at Lindbergh. The other one is past McKnight, a little to the west. Slow-moving traffic there. And we've got westbound 40 still lining up approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Now, westbound 70 looks pretty good. It's great out of downtown, a little slow at Wentzville. But 64 is still slowing. And this is approaching Hampton out through McCausland. It's slowing at the accident past McKnight and again at Highway N. Southbound 270 is much better, but slow pockets from Olive down through Manchester. Southbound 141 still a slow go, headed for 44. At 44, there's an accident reported at 270. On the Illinois side, slow-moving traffic coming off the Poplar at eastbound 64 at 255. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, it was nice to hear from Bill Kaufman from Banner Construction this afternoon. He was listening. He sent me a text. He's a loyal listener, and I am loyal to his company. He's a great sponsor, has been for a long time here on KMOX and on this station, 97.1 FM Talk. And one of the things that we talk about with Banner is James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding, because it's a great product. You should have it on your home. If you don't have it on your home, they can put it on your home, and you have to go with a company that has the reputation that Banner has, and you kind of match that with the superior reputation that a product like James Hardie has and Pella Replacement Windows. You get all that combined, the expert, the design team, the consultation that you'll get inside your home with that team that's going to really show you some magic and give you the ability to transform your home into something that is the best-looking home in the neighborhood. You can see some examples of this on the bannerconstruction.com website. You click on the showcase, you'll see homes that have really, really been changed from plain light vinyl siding that doesn't really have, a good warranty, that's going to wear out, it's going to warp, it's going to fade, into beautiful Hardie products, and the colors and the offsets with the softened fascia will be really mind-blowing when you look at the possibilities. They love to do this, not only with the Hardie siding, but the Pella Replacement Windows as well. Call 314-569-1050 or the website bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
We're here to celebrate America's 250th birthday in 2026. This is 97.1 FM Talk. America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And right now, new mattresses start at $1,500 during our 4th of July sale. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life sleep.
So Ryan and I came to the decision to get life insurance when I was pregnant with our first son. He really wanted us to be taken care of if something happened to him. He provided for our family in life and also after his death. I think that would make him proud. Ethos makes it fast and easy to get life insurance. Apply in minutes and get same-day coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tomorrow will be Thursday, I believe, if I can get confirmation on that from Sue. Thursday tomorrow.
That is correct.
Today is Wednesday.
Yes.
We have nothing set up for tomorrow. Fred has done no work whatsoever. I'm looking at the sheet. There's nothing for tomorrow. There will be, though. We'll put some things together. On Friday, we'll have the Reardon Roundtable with Tim Fitch, and Ed Rohde will be here as well. Wait a second. I'm kind of doing the math here. That is the last Reardon Roundtable this Friday before our nation's 250th birthday, because we will be off next Friday. That's an important roundtable.
Oh,
right?
my gosh, that really is.
Sue has her hand on her heart
Yes.
right now. I didn't even think about that, but that could be fun on Friday afternoon. We'll do all the fun stuff with Paul Hall on entertainment. Kusamana will be here. I think we're going to spend some time with Tim Summer on some music stuff. We like to do that. And Jim Talent on Iran on Friday as well. We'll probably have Charles Lipson tomorrow and Curtis from the Media Research Center, if I had to guess. All right, I got a couple of different things here. Before I get to cut of the day, let me I just want you to forgive me for this, because I missed this story. And I don't know how I missed this story, but I saw it today, and then I have to give credit to the other side of the building, because apparently they had it before Fox did, or maybe people had it at the same time. This firefighter who defecated in a box at the airport.
Kim St. Ange has been talking about that on the morning show.
So Sean Malone at KMOX did the story. Here, let me play you some details here.
Screenshots making rounds on social media purported to show a firefighter defecating inside a box in a food storage area inside Lambert Airport. When asked about the defecation, a spokesperson for Lambert International Airport says, quote, the incident that took place in Terminal 2 on June 10th involving a St. Louis City firefighter is unacceptable for anyone associated with this airport.
I would hope so.
Yeah, the fire department confirmed the firefighter has been removed from his airport duties and is on administrative leave pending an investigation. A source with knowledge of the situation tells KMOX the incident happened inside of HMS Host food storage area inside the airport, and that the food all needed to be disposed of after.
Okay, so that's the part that even makes it worse, right? First of all, I'm not exactly sure if I'm so close to saying the word, I got to be careful here because I get in trouble. But if you're not going to lose your job for pooping on a box and being caught in camera, and you're just put on administrative leave, I'm pretty sure my key card would be taken away by now. And this is a guy that was in the fire department for a long time. Now, look, I also come from the the camp is when you got to go, you got to go. But was there an emergency? But what makes it even worse, as if it's not bad enough, is it was done around all this food.
Yeah, and see, I'd really like to know the backstory. Or was he trying to make a statement of some sort?
Maybe we should ask Chief Jenkerson. I know Dennis a little bit. I'm fascinated by what the answer would be. But the first step to the chief would say, let's kind of take him off the administrative leave and send him on his way and see if he can poop elsewhere. That's my recommendation.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
All right, I'm going to take a flyer here because the team, Fred and Ethan, they're very good at updating audio, and sometimes things happen during the course of the show that I don't get on, and this is one of those situations. So Trump was asked by Ducey a little bit earlier this afternoon in a Q&A about the Democrat-Socialist wins. We should just say the Socialists or the Communist wins in 3 seats in New York City in these primaries.
Great night for Democratic Socialist candidates last night. In the New York primaries, they swept and knocked out 2 incumbents. You're from New York. Why do you think it is that now the endorsement of Zohran Mamdani means more than the endorsement of Hakeem Jeffries?
Well, they're going radical left. They're going really, you talk about the Democrat socialists. It's really communist. These people. I watched that woman last night. That's not a socialist. I know socialists. That woman is a communist. And what they don't say is that I was 16-0 last night. But mine were a little more boring, a little more mainstream. They were Republican conservatives. But we were 16-0. And if you look over the last 2.5 years, we're about 347 and just about 0. That's pretty good. But nobody writes that. But he picked 3. They won. They beat a guy named Dan Goldman, who's, a loser. He was one of my prosecutors, one of my many prosecutors that they used on me. Dan Goldman, not a good prosecutor, fortunately, but he's now looking for a job. I was very surprised to see, because he's a pretty liberal guy. When they go more liberal than Dan Goldman, they're really into Never, Never Land.
And I don't know if people listening right now understand that, and it's very important. Scott Jennings made that point on CNN last night. I mean, this is one of the guys that is in the top tier of the loony left, Dan Goldman. But they blocked him from going to a coffee shop in his district because he's Jewish. And they voted him out because he's Jewish. The level of anti-Semitism in those elections was off the charts. And my question this afternoon, we'll find this out in 6 weeks, is does Cori Bush have a chance to pull something like that off against Wesley Bell? She'd give me a lot of material, ladies and gentlemen, but it scares the hell out of me.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads this afternoon, we do have some issues out there. Now, there is a report of an accident on eastbound 6440 just east of Lindbergh. And if you're traveling in that area, it's actually slowing in both directions. And they're saying, well, it came down as a stall. It was in the center lane, but it really caused a huge jam behind it. And then there was an accident going eastbound again before McKnight. Watch for that one in the right lane. So it's kind of a mess. Look for a slow go back through 270. Southbound 170 is slow, headed for 64. We've got southbound 270 with slow pockets. It's moderate volume, but it's Ladue Road down through 44. 44 is slow at 270. Out west, 70 looks pretty good. A little slow at Wentzville. 64 just slow at N. On the Illinois side, we're slowing eastbound 64 at 255. 64 headed for 70, an accident there. And an accident 5570 eastbound past 109. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, maybe you are someone out there who's been thinking about buying a home, but you're on the sidelines because you're worried about rates, right? That seems to be the case for a lot of people. Well, Stuart at Stuart's American Mortgage, Stewie, as we call him, has a great deal for you because he's offering you a 1% discount on your interest rate for the first year. So for the first year of your new 30-year mortgage, you will lock at a 1% lower rate. And you still get the bagel loan. That means no closing costs. Now, this is a limited time offer that Stewie is doing. The bagel loan is something he created a long time ago to save people money. It's called the bagel loan because it looks like a zero and you pay zero in fees. You are not going to pay appraisal fees, closing costs, title fees, or broker fees. That's going to save you money. The other big advantage is you're going right to Stewie and his son, Jordan. They handle all the loans. They can close you in as little as 10 days. You're not going to be put on hold or deal with someone that you don't have a relationship with. You will literally create a new relationship with someone that you can use as your mortgage guy for the rest of your life if you need him. Great service. Google the bagel loan or call or text 314-324-4440. NMLS number 226715.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE